Cricket balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting, and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know. Well, here's the tale. Tennis is widely known to be a French sport. It dates back to the 12th century when people used handmade balls, and it was then called tennis, which is the verb to hold in French. And people used some pretty wacky material to make the balls with. Cork, wool, chalk, animal fur, and even human hair. A few centuries on, Germany got dead into the tennis too. but wanted to make a few modifications to the ball to make it a bit more effective. Around this time, an American chemist had just created something called vulcanized rubber. Out of that, people started developing air-filled rubber balls, which were properly bouncy, but either red or grey in colour. These were manufactured in Melton Mowbray. That's right, the home of the pork pie. One problem, the balls kept on breaking on impact with the racket. The call of new balls please seemingly coming over every other point. Step forward English lawyer and tennis enthusiast John Moyer Heathcote, who suggested balls be covered in flannel to stop them from degrading. And thus the modern-day tennis ball was born. But these were white or black, so how did they become yellow? Well, in 1967, the controller of BBC Two, one Sir David Attenborough, decided the corporation should show Wimbledon on colour TV. He got his wish and it was wide into people's homes across the country. The only sticking point, the white balls were nearly impossible to see on.
Good afternoon, this is the Saturday session. I'm Olly, Clink. I've got Chelsea fan Rory Jennings with me all the way through until 5 o'clock. Hope you're having a great weekend so far. So much on the way for you. We are jam-packed with live sport this afternoon. And here on talkSPORT, you've just heard the British and Irish Lions beat the Waratahs 21-10 thanks to this try from Alex Mitchell.
First line out throw completed. He will offload to Mitchell. They feint right, go left. Alex Mitchell with another fake and scores the try. Finn Smith, his Northampton and England teammate, would have had an absolute walk-in, but Mitchell holds on to the ball and the Lions have their third try of the evening.
World number one Yannick Sinner is in action at Wimbledon today, so is Novak Djokovic, with the women's third round matches also in full swing. Watching for talkSPORT, Lisa O'Sullivan.
Well, the middle Saturday at the All England Club has arrived after record heat, so has the rain. But the roofs are covering centre and court number one, where play is about to get underway, and we look to complete the third round in the men's and women's ladies singles.
England's cricketers are still battling away against India. What's the latest, Sam Ellard?
77 for 3 at lunch. England bowled well in the first hour and picked up 2 wickets. Karen Nair went for 26, bowled by Cast, and then Josh Tongue produced a beauty to dismiss KRA all for 55. But Rishabh Pant out the crease. He was dropped on 10 at mid-off by Zach Crawley. He's 41 from 35, 5 fours and 2 sixes, looking to move the game along pretty quickly. Lunch on day 4, India 177 for 3, leading by 357 runs.
Later on today at 5 o'clock, there will be exclusive commentary of PSG against Bayern Munich in the Club World Cup quarter-finals. Well, over on talkSPORT 2, Wales take on the Netherlands at the Women's Euros at 9 o'clock. talkSPORT 2 will also bring you exclusive commentary of Real Madrid against Borussia Dortmund. But our main focus throughout the show will be on England's opening game at the Women's Euros. Come on, the Lionesses. They take on France at 8 o'clock, live here on talkSPORT. Here we go. This is the Saturday session. Mr. Rory Jennings, how are you doing, sir?
Mr. Clink, yeah, very well. Very well. Of course I'm well. I was just springing my step. Chelsea have made it to yet another semi-final.
Yeah, big result, wasn't it? Big result.
Yeah.
And plenty of talking points, actually, as well. I think, firstly, Cole Palmer getting on the score sheet feels quite big, given the form of his at the end of the season, maybe even argue his form during this tournament.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that, Ollie. I feel like people like to focus on Cole Palmer, and because he's such a talent, because we expect so much of him, and because of the season that he had previously, we expect him to play to that standard consistently. And obviously that's impossible. He was totally unplayable that previous year. He under Pochettino, the form, I'm not sure I've seen a single season like it. It felt like the ceiling was crumbling at Chelsea, and he was the one person holding it up. And he contributed massively to us last year. He was undoubtedly one of our better players. He was undoubtedly our top goal scorer. He was undoubtedly our biggest threat. So this narrative that Cole Palmer sort of went totally off the boil.
He did go. No, come on, he did go off the boil.
It isn't quite true. It doesn't tell the story in its total capacity. What it does is it acknowledges that the form dipped from the sensational level that it was at. But he still shone when we needed him to shine. We beat Liverpool towards the end of the season.
It dipped to a significant level, though. He hardly scored a goal. He hardly got an assist.
Yeah, he hardly scored a goal. His goal scoring went off the boil. But it's important to remember that over the course of the season, he was still Chelsea's top goal scorer by a country mile. He was still had a very respectable goal tally. And when we needed him to shine, he did. You know, we beat Liverpool towards the end of the season. He was the catalyst for that result. So I think it is important to acknowledge that, yeah, you might like to suggest that it didn't necessarily go as well as it had gone the previous year. And obviously the previous year culminated in him scoring for England in a Euros final against Spain. But this narrative that Cole Palmer went totally off the boil and the form was abysmal and all that, he was still our best player in an attacking sense. So I think what you're saying is true to a degree, but it is important to acknowledge that he's always been a sublime player for Chelsea football.
I'll tell you who else looked really exciting is actually a man who's on his way to Chelsea, but Esteval.
Yeah.
For Palmeiras, who actually got the equaliser. What a finish.
It felt like the night couldn't have gone better for Chelsea. Aside from the bookings, like obviously Levi Colwill now won't play in the semi-final, which is a shame. But apart from that, it did feel like everything went to plan. You know, we've won the game. We've made it to a semi-final. The goal that we conceded was scored by our new player Esteval. He's announced himself onto the scene. I thought it was a fantastic goal that he scored. Yeah. Obviously, a good goalkeeper saves it, and this is the problem that we're going to have. And that goal will, in fact, give us impetus to discuss Robert Sanchez again and again and again. Because any good goalkeeper saves that.
After the match, the Chelsea manager, actually, Enzo Maresca, had his say about Esteval. Here's what he said about the incoming Chelsea player.
Very good. Very good. You can see that he's huge talent. You can see that he's fantastic player. And the only thing for me is when you come from South America or in general from the other part of the world to Europe, you need to adapt. So we're gonna help him to adapt, and first of all to be happy, to continue to enjoy football. And we don't have any doubt, because he's so good, that he's going to be a very important player for Chelsea.
Yeah, he sounds excited about it. He's just 18, Esteval. The deal's worth about 52 million. But, Rory, Chelsea have now earned 61 million from the Club World Cup after booking their place in the semi-final. And it could be even more. I mean, it's quite astonishing, really. And they've been quite busy in the transfer market, as we expected they would be anyway. But this run in the Club World Cup, I think, it has been vitally important because actually they're funding a lot of these transfers already with the money they're earning from going far at the Club World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, when we discuss the Club World Cup and we talk about will it whet the appetites of the fans and ultimately it's going to work because there's so much money that they throw at it. If you throw enough money at any problem, the problem invariably goes away. And because now the clubs will take it seriously, the players in turn will have no option but to take it seriously. It's ripples on a pond. If the club are taking it seriously and the club are desperate to win it, that is going to impact the fans. That is going to impact the prestige of the tournament. And you're absolutely right. The money is ridiculous. You earn in a summer. And how long's the tournament going to last in total? A month? You can earn the money that you earn in a year in the Champions League.
It's crazy,
It's Champions League money in 1 month. It takes you, what, 10 months to win a Champions League?
Yeah.
You can earn it in 1 month.
I mean, bear in mind as well the fact that they are in it because they won the Champions League 4 years ago as well.
And the other thing that I think is important to remember, to win a Champions League, it's so hard, isn't it? The reason why the Champions League feels like a jewel in the crown, the reason why it's seen as being this coveted, highly desirable trophy is because of the history and how difficult it is to win. It's an elusive trophy that can evade some of the best players and best clubs for ages. The Club World Cup's not like that. If you look at Chelsea's run to what should be the Club World Cup final, you can see that if you have a bit of luck with a draw, it can be a very easy competition to win compared to the Champions League.
Yeah, I heard Darren Bent say the other day that as a player, he would have rather won the Club World Cup in this current format than the FA Cup. Where do you stand on that?
It's very difficult for me, somebody who's never played the game at any sort of level, to argue with Darren Bent. Darren Bent is right, isn't he? Darren Bent's words on this are far more significant than mine because he's played the game at the highest level, so he will know what the feeling of the dressing room is. For me, and obviously I'm looking at this simply through the lens of a fan, The idea of scoring an FA Cup final goal for Chelsea is what I dreamed of. Singing Abide With Me at Wembley Stadium is one of my most passionate things to do. Like when I think about what being a footballer is, the FA Cup is a memory that will always come to my mind. Some of the best moments in my lifetime have been via the FA Cup. Roberto Di Matteo scoring against Middlesbrough in '97 will forever rangle as one of the most joyful moments I've ever experienced in my life. 1994 against Manchester United and David Ellery will forever rank as one of the most painful. I don't think the Club World Cup will ever have that impact on me. The FA Cup is something that's like in my blood. It's instilled into who I am. Yeah. The Club World Cup's brand new. It's a shiny, glitzy new toy, but it doesn't have the same ring to it. But if Darren Bent is saying that the footballer's perspective is this is more enticing, there's definitely some truth to it.
Yeah, because actually the way that because they were talking about it on Drive, the way Andy Goldstein did put it across was you are scoring the winner, and he's like FA Cup final at Wembley or winning the Club World Cup, and let's say you play Real Madrid in the final, and Bentley was like, no, do you know what? I'd go for.
You see, on that logic though. On that logic, I disagree. On that logic, I think that you have to go the FA Cup. The FA Cup goal scorers, if you win your team the FA Cup, you immediately become immortal, don't you? Yeah. Like the reason why Man United sing "Always Look on the White Side of Life" is because he won them the FA Cup. One of the reasons why Roberto Di Matteo will always have such a place in Chelsea hearts and Chelsea folklore, and in my opinion should have a statue built at Stamford Bridge, is because he scored at the time the fastest goal at Wembley in the FA Cup. He ended Chelsea's 25-year drought for silverware, and then historically he scored the last goal at Wembley, at the old Wembley, in the FA Cup final again. These moments, like if I talk to you about FA Cup goal scorers, I feel like you name them. Michael Owen in Cardiff against Arsenal, winning Liverpool the FA Cup. Charlie George scoring for Arsenal in the FA Cup final and lying down. Jesse Lingard. Like I feel like you can. Ricky Villa. I feel like you can do that. Like if I ask you, you're a football fan, and this would have certainly been in your consciousness, and I reckon anyone listening to this will struggle to answer it. Chelsea won this competition very recently in the Middle East. We won the Club World Cup under Thomas Tuchel. Who scored the winner for Chelsea? And I'm not saying this to put you on the spot, because I don't expect you to know. I'm saying it because if I asked you who scored the winner for Chelsea in the FA Cup final in '07, you probably go Didier Drogba against Man United.
Yeah. Is it a bit strange, the goal scorer?
No, I mean...
I'll be honest, I haven't got a clue,
the answer's Kai Havertz. I don't know. There's no reason for you to know that. I'm not saying it to put you on the spot. I'm saying it more to demonstrate that it doesn't have the same ring to it. If you score an FA Cup final goal, I feel like you will forever be immortalised in the folklore of the club. And I don't think that's the case with the Club World Cup. As proved by the Kai Havertz goal in the Middle East.
Yeah, come on, Benty. Surely it's the FA Cup. Anyway, let's take a look at the latest cricket Test Series action with Betfair.
A Test Series preview on talkSPORT with Betfair, built for big game players. Head to the Betfair app for the latest odds. 18+, gambleaware.org.
It's lunch on the fourth day at Edgbaston. Here are the latest odds for the winner of the second test. So England are 17-2 to take the win. India 8-15, and the draw is 11-5. That was a look at the latest Test Series action with Betfair. 18+, gambleaware.org.
India Test Series preview on talkSPORT with Betfair, built for big game players. Head to the Betfair app for the latest odds. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Rory, there is so much I still want to talk to you about from a Chelsea perspective. I want your thoughts on Maresca. I also want your thoughts on a potential move to Arsenal for Noni Madueke. We'll talk about that next here on the Saturday session on talkSPORT.
but now Cucurella wins it back for Chelsea and finds Cole Palmer, and a right foot shot's beaten away by Weberton. Here is Chalobah down the inside right channel, finds Palmer, lovely turn, Cole Palmer! Sensational goal! That's what he's all about! It comes to Cole Palmer, can he get the shot away? He finds Nkunku, and he's curled it over the top. He's not a regular scorer, low ball into Estevao here, Estevao! Oh, how's he squeezed that in? The man who is going to Stamford Bridge after this tournament has just punished Chelsea out of nothing. Played the corner to Palmer, Enzo Fernandez into the area, and the ball is deflected in! Malo Gusto who played it, he took a massive deflection. It could even be an own goal. If it's not though, Malo Gusto has scored his first ever senior goal. The final score is Palmeiras 1, Chelsea 2, and Chelsea will now play Fluminense in the semi-finals.
Good afternoon. This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly, Clink, alongside Chelsea fan Rory Jennings. And Rory's Chelsea are through to the semi-finals of the Club World Cup. How much have they earned so far? Just 61 million. No. It's all right, that, isn't it?
It's just ridiculous sums of money. But it's a shame in a way that or maybe it's just the way that it has to be, that we're talking about the money, because you know when we talk about winning trophies, like the point of winning trophies is never the money. The money's a byproduct. But you know when you win the European Cup, you don't ever factor in the amount of money that a side has won. Like when we watch Paris Saint-Germain dismantle Inter Milan at the end of the season, you're watching it for the football spectacle. You're watching it because of the glorious football on display. You're watching it because of the players and the tactical genius of Luis Enrique. At no point were any of the Parisians that were in the stadium in Munich that were celebrating thinking of the money. Whereas this trophy,
this is all about the money.
It feels like it is, which basically means that it's never going to be taken seriously as a trophy if the only prize, or at least the equal prize, is prestige plus money rather than just prestige.
I want to ask you quickly, before we get on to the future of Noni Madueke, I just want to ask you about where you're standing on Enzo Maresca right now, because it could be that in his first season, he wins European silverware, and you've got to play the teams in front of you, won the Conference League, got into the Champions League, and he might be heading for another trophy, and you would be crowned the best club team in the world. Despite that, it does still feel like there are questions over him. I don't know if you saw it. There was an interview with Reece James after the game, and Reece James was asked about what position he likes to play, and he was like, "Look, I actually love being a marauding fullback. That's what I've done, most of my career." But obviously the gaffer said he wants me as more of an inverted player, and it was really good. The interviewer just went, "So what do you prefer then? Like you personally, what do you prefer?" And he just went, "I like," and then he just started laughing and went, "I'm not going to answer that one." So in a way, really? To say,
well, he did answer it, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like there are still a couple of questions despite the success he's relatively had. What do you think?
No, I think you're completely correct. I think you are completely correct. Like, it's important to acknowledge before we go into this that by no means is this Maresca out or I want Maresca to be sacked, because I think that's how it gets with managers. It's so binary and it's so tribal. Second that you say a manager's perhaps not doing what he should be doing, everybody infers from that you're saying they should be sacked, and that's not the case at all. What I am saying, however, is that we got quite lucky at the end of the season. We got very lucky, in fact, to make it into the top four spots. Top
Why do you say lucky?
Well, if you think about the form that we displayed over Christmas, like we lost to Ipswich. We then drew with Ipswich at home. Like, we were dropping points left, right and centre. We were really struggling, desperately struggling. And Maresca didn't really have an answer. Like, earlier in this show, you touched on the form of Cole Palmer when he went slightly off the boil. That coincided totally with Chelsea's collapse. And it felt like we were totally out of the title race. The reason why we ended up finishing in the top four and ultimately doing it at canter was as much down to Nottingham Forest's capitulation. Like, Nottingham Forest dropping points from a winning position against Leicester City, who were relegated already.
Losing to Brentford at home.
Like, that had as much to do with our success as anything that we did for ourselves. So I do think that there's something troubling about the form that we went on over Christmas and New Year. I also think that winning the trophy in Poland, whilst I was desperate to win the trophy because we were in it, we can't pretend that the Conference League is somehow a significant level for Chelsea football.
It would have been embarrassing, I think, if you didn't win it.
Yeah, we had to win it, and then there was a context around how we won it when Cole Palmer basically came out and said that he had to ignore the manager's instruction in order to secure Chelsea the victory.
That's a worry, isn't it? Talking of Maresca, Noni Madueke came on as a substitute last night, but he is being linked with a move to Arsenal. The reports are saying that the Gunners would be willing to pay $40 million for him. Here's what Maresca had to say about Madueke's future last night.
Noni has been very important for us during this season. Today, again, he has been important. But my message to the players and to the club is that I want just players that they are happy to be with us. The ones that they are not happy, they are free to go. And it's not for Noni, it's for all the players we have. But again, Noni has been very good during the season and very good tonight.
Rory, how would you feel if Noni Madueke did end up going to Arsenal? Would you be that gutted as a Chelsea fan?
No, I wouldn't be gutted at all. I'd be slightly surprised. Like, I think Noni Madueke is a good Premier League player. And if Noni Madueke were to go to, if you were telling me that he was linked with Tottenham, if he were linked with Newcastle, I would totally understand that. I would think that would be quite a good signing for the two clubs I just mentioned. If Arsenal's ambition is where I think it is, and they are hoping to win the league, they have finished second, 3 years in a row. They've been knocking on the door. It felt like they were the heir to the throne. This isn't the signing for that. So I'm very surprised that he's linked with Arsenal.
Also, is it the right move for Madueke himself? Because he'd be, he likes to play on the right. He can play on the left, but he likes to play on the right, and that's where Bukayo Saka plays. So surely he wouldn't be starting week in, week out for Arsenal. And I just don't feel like for a young player that would be the right thing for his development anyway.
The only reason why you would argue that it's a good move for him personally would be because he would be going to a team who are a better team. They finished above us in the league. I think Arsenal are further along in their development. They're further along in their journey. He's put in some good performances recently. He's been selected for England by Thomas Tuchel. So for him personally, if he thinks that he can help elevate Arsenal's attack, if he thinks that he could benefit from the coaching of Mikel Arteta, I imagine that he would have had conversations with Arteta before he were to go to Arsenal, if the move does actually end up happening, that he can feature, that he can...
Again, though, is it a game-changing one for Arsenal?
No, I don't think it's a good signing for
like
Arsenal.
Their business is underwhelming.
It's a good move for Madueke, is the point that I'm making.
Yeah.
It's certainly an upward move for him. But is it a good move for Arsenal? No, I thought Arsenal were being linked with the very best in the world. And I think it must be so uninspiring if you are an Arsenal fan, because the signings that have worked for Arsenal have invariably been signings that have been top tier.
Yeah.
They've gone out, they spent the big bucks, they went and they signed Declan Rice, and Declan Rice was already on the periphery of being a world-class footballer. He's gone to Arsenal and he has become a world-class footballer, non-negotiably. The reason that has worked is because they went out, they were brave, and they spent the big bucks. Trying to sign, how many players have they signed from Chelsea that haven't particularly set the world on fire?
Yeah, so true.
How many times are they going to do this?
Havertz, Willian,
Jorginho wasn't particularly good.
Yeah.
But the list goes on, doesn't it? Raheem Sterling. And then you go back a bit. Obviously Petr Cech didn't have a particularly good time of it there. Willian didn't have a particularly good time of it there. So if I were an Arsenal fan, I would be flummoxed at this.
Yeah.
They've gone from being linked to some of the... they were linked to Rodrigo from Real Madrid. And you think,
still
okay,
are, to
great.
be fair.
Yeah, fine. But that's the level, and that's the shop and level that Arsenal should be shopping at.
I tell you what, we'll carry on that Arsenal chat in just a moment. With all this transfer chat, though, as well, it's hard to believe Chelsea was sanctioned yesterday for some of their spending. We're going to talk about that, and we'll get stuck more into the Gunners in just a moment here on talkSPORT. afternoon, this is the Saturday session on talkSPORT with me, Olly, Clink. I've got Rory Jennings alongside me this afternoon. We're with you all the way through until 5 o'clock. So much live sport going on throughout the afternoon, and we're going to keep you across all of it. Mira Andreeva has just started her third round match on number one court at Wimbledon. World number one Yannick Sinner is in action later on, so is Novak Djokovic. In the cricket, India are 177 for 3 at lunch. England 357 runs behind, so looking like a very tall order for them, but we know what they're like. They don't like to draw, so you can imagine when they get into bat, England are going to go for it, and I mean, they chased down 371 last time, England, so listen, you never know with this team. Now, former England and Arsenal striker Leanne Sanderson is the focus of this Sunday's edition of After the Lights Go Out here on talkSPORT from 8 o'clock. Over the course of an hour, Leanne discusses a range of issues with Leon Mackenzie and Steve Harmison, including being the first openly gay footballer, her fraught relationship with the FA, and receiving social media abuse, including death threats, following her move into her current profession as a football pundit.
People ask me a lot, like, oh, do you think we'll ever see? Now, we've got Jake Daniels, you know, Josh Cavello, which is amazing. And it shouldn't be diminished because they don't play in the Premier League. But they do exist in the Premier League. They do. Like, you know, the statistics are 1 in 4 person identifies with the LGBTQ plus community. So you're telling me that on every team there's not at least a couple. But they shouldn't feel forced. And I think we're moving away, thankfully, from people putting, you know, big stories on the front of newspapers like witness protection. We know who you are. Because can you imagine how it must feel for a male player currently playing in the Premier League that's not able to be who they are? Like, it must impact the way they feel every day and performance. So, I don't know, I hope that we live in a day where there will be an active Premier League player that comes out when they feel comfortable, they feel protected, they feel supported. Because I don't think, if I was a player playing in the men's game now, would I come out? Probably not.
That's former England forward Leanne Sanderson speaking with Leon Mackenzie and Steve Harmison. You can hear that full interview in After the Lights Go Out from 8 o'clock tomorrow night on talkSPORT. Ahead of tonight's Women's Euros opener for the Lionesses, though, against France, which we will have live from 8 o'clock. talkSPORT reporter Umar Gurav is out in Zurich getting a sense of atmosphere before the game.
Can you tell me what you think is going to happen? What can we expect from the Lionesses tonight?
I think they're going to score a lot, like 3 times. Yeah.
Is that your score prediction then?
Yeah, I think it can be 3-1.
3-1. Oh, who's going to score for England?
Tooney, Russo, and Russo again.
And can you tell me, what's your message to the Lionesses and to Serena ahead of tonight? What would you want them to know from you?
Score goals and win.
Can you tell me what you think is going to happen? What can we expect from the Lionesses tonight?
I think they're going to score a lot, like 3 times. Yeah.
Is that your score prediction then?
Yeah, I think it can be 3-1.
3-1. Oh, who's going to score for England?
Tooney, Russo, and Russo again.
And can you tell me, what's your message to the Lionesses and to Serena ahead of tonight? What would you want them to know from you?
Score goals and win.
How are you feeling about the game tonight?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's been a long travel day to get here so far. Not too bad, but yeah, excited to finally be here and looking forward to the game this evening.
Can you tell me what players I should watch out for tonight in the France game?
Oh, I think it'll be all about the impact players. I wonder if Lauren James coming off the bench, she's obviously missed out quite a lot of the tournament so far, or the season so far, should I say. So I think she'll want to come on and make an impact.
And can you give me a score prediction?
I'm going to be optimistic and say 2-1. I do think France will be a difficult challenge. They've got lots of pace, but fingers crossed we can get ahead and hopefully then we can defend and keep the score.
We had to get that 3-1 prediction twice, I think, there from me, the England fan. We're going to catch up with Umar a bit later on out in Switzerland, and we'll also be over with Tash Dowie, who's on commentary duty for talkSPORT tonight, and Courtney Sweetman-Kirk in the next 10 minutes ahead of tonight's game. Rory, we've been chatting a bit about Arsenal and their transfer business. Noni Madueke from your Chelsea's been linked with Arsenal. It's an interesting situation as well with Ethan Nwaneri. We're being told that contract negotiations are maybe stalling a bit slightly. They're trying to get through
with
a few buffers. Yeah, which I find quite an interesting situation when you compare it to the Cole Palmer situation at Man City. The way that Cole Palmer left Man City, despite being this emerging talent, because he was like, no, do you know what? I want to go and be the main man somewhere else.
But there is a difference.
Is Nwaneri at the level that Palmer was when he made that move to Chelsea?
Nwaneri's at a higher level. Wanjeri has done more for the first team. Look, Cole Palmer had his moments in the first team. Of course he did. Like he scored for Man City at Wembley, didn't he? In a Charity Shield, he actually scored a goal to win Man City the Super Cup, if I remember rightly. So he certainly had his moments. But Wanjeri had a great season. Wanjeri featured heavily for Arsenal in the season just gone. Like there is no jeopardy around whether Wanjeri is capable of doing it for Arsenal. There's no jeopardy around whether Arsenal are a better outfit having Wanjeri around them. Yeah. There was an argument that you could have made that would have suggested that Manchester City could allow Cole Palmer to leave. Obviously, history has been very unkind to that prediction. But you could have legitimately said, as a Man City fan, we don't need Cole Palmer. You know, Riyad Mahrez has just gone. We have lots of creative players in the team. Kevin De Bruyne is the most creative player in the league. He is still playing for us. We can allow Cole Palmer to leave for £40 million and it won't reflect badly on us. Obviously, it looks terrible now. But you could have argued that it was a rational decision. If Arsenal allow Ethan Wanjeri to leave, it's just a terrible decision.
But what do you do with Wanjeri, though? Because another player they've been linked with is, I don't know, Eberechi Eze, for example. And they've been linked with other players that can play in that kind of number 10 role. So when you look at it, you'd have Odegaard in front of you in that kind of position. You'd have then Eze in front of you. You'd probably maybe even have Havertz in front of you. All right, you could argue Wanjeri could be more effective. And then on the right, you've got Bukayo Saka. You know, he might look at it, even though he's only 18, and go, how am I going to get into this team?
I don't think that's true, though.
Yeah, but he might look at, I don't know, the likes of Emile Smith-Rowe, who was at a similar level to Bukayo Saka coming through. Yes, he had his injury issues, but also eventually left Arsenal and ended up at Fulham because he wasn't going to get the game time.
If I was Ethan Wanjeri, everything that I've seen from him, the only immovable object in that Arsenal team is Bukayo Saka. So he can't eye up Saka's place in the team. That's non-negotiable. But I think that he should be looking at Martin Odegaard and thinking, if Odegaard has a season similar to the one that he had last year, Odegaard went to pot. And I think Arsenal fans are very generous to Martin Odegaard. I know he's very good for them before. But when they needed him to shine, when they needed their captain to take games by the scruff of the neck and drag them to victories maybe that they didn't deserve, but he bottled it.
Does Wanjeri start ahead of the captain, though? Well,
this is it. If Ethan Wanjeri believes in his own talent, and I think that he can do this, he should see that place in the team as something that he can prize away from Martin Odegaard.
Do you think he should fight for his place at Arsenal rather than going somewhere else, starting every week and being the main man?
What's right for... There's two different conversations here. What's right for the player and what's right for the club? The club cannot allow Ethan Wanjeri to leave. The club cannot develop Ethan Wanjeri to this level, nurture him, make sure that the land is as fertile as possible to create this wonderful footballer who is now on the periphery of both brilliance in the Premier League and brilliance at international level, and then allow him to go and actually develop somewhere else.
It's also been reported that Mikel Arteta, the Arsenal manager, has set a deadline of July the 19th when Arsenal go off on their pre-season tour of Asia to have a deal for Viktor Gyökeres or a striker wrapped up. But
it's just an arbitrary deadline, though, isn't it?
Well, the longer it goes on as well.
Mate, the deadline was this time last year. Like, there is no... The deadline...
even before that.
Yeah, the deadline was about 16 months ago when they got launched out of the Champions League by Bayern Munich because they didn't have a striker. And the conversation 16 months ago was that they got beat because they didn't have a striker. They would have beaten Bayern Munich over the two legs if they had a striker. They didn't, and that was the day that we started saying it's a striker or bust for Arsenal. We're 16 months down the line. This is an arbitrary deadline. The deadline passed. So no, but do you know what I just want to go back to? I feel like you, even in the phrasing of this conversation, have been very, very kind to Martin Odegaard. Odegaard's place in that team is as much up for debate as basically anyone else's. Martin Odegaard went to pot when Arsenal needed him most. It was a choke. It was a sporting choke when it was desperate for somebody at Arsenal to take the game by the scruff of the neck and be the talisman, be the Roy Keane in Turin, be the Didier Drogba in Munich. Martin Odegaard had those opportunities and he shrunk. So I don't think that Ethan Wanjeri should be looking at Martin Odegaard and thinking that place in the team is completely off limits.
Okay, interesting stuff. We'll chat a bit more about that race for Gyökeres and potentially Sesko in just a moment, because I just felt that Arsenal would try and get those deals wrapped up a bit earlier in this window, especially off the back of what Liverpool have done, of what Manchester City have done.
Terrible.
It's a disaster of a window if they don't get a number 9. It is. It really, really is. Anyway, let's head off to Wimbledon and get the latest there with Lisa O'Sullivan.
Over on court number 1, the teen Russian sensation and 7th seed Mira Andreeva has taken the first set 6-1 against Hailey Baptiste, who has taken a little while to settle here. The American is a talent. She's one of the big hitters in the women's game, and she plays a lot of variety of shots as well. But Andreeva's made the better start. She leads 6-1, 1-love in the second. Baptiste serving at the moment. And here on centre court, we've got Yannick Sinner, the number 1 seed. He's been rattling through this draw. He's taking on Martinez of Spain. We're in the first game. Sinner is 40-love up.
Thank you very much, Lisa. We'll check back in with the cricket in just a moment. They've just come back out from lunch. India extending their lead quite significantly now against England. They're 177 for 3. So we'll check back in with Sam Millard at Edgbaston in just a moment here on talkSPORT.
The quest for European glory really kicks off right here on talkSPORT.
I'm very excited, but also so much has changed, so I'm intrigued to come back and enjoy that tournament football.
The team that won the 2022 had more experience.
For the first time in their history, the Lioness fairy tale has its perfect ending.
I think the pressure or the expectations have been high all the time since I've been here.
Spectacular hit from Gianni. France are level on the stroke of half-time.
Their physicality is obviously one of their main strengths. They're a very athletic team.
There are many famous players. You have James, but also Russo.
A back heel from Russo, instinctive.
But my philosophy of the game is also to be focused on our games.
We're here and we know exactly where we want to go to.
Good afternoon, this is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly, Clink, alongside Rory Jennings. Today is the day the Lionesses are looking to defend their Euros title, and they get underway tonight live on talkSPORT against France. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff. Time now to get an update on the football with McDonald's.
UEFA Women's Euro 2025 update on talkSPORT with McDonald's. Got Big McDonald's hunger? Order the iconic new Big Arch on the McDonald's app. Available from 11 a.m. at participating restaurants.
I'm delighted to say that we are joined not just by talkSPORT's England correspondent Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, but also by former Lionesses striker Tash Dowie. Tash, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks, guys. Baking here.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah, Courtney, how's it been out there so far?
Yeah, look, it's been brilliant. Great atmosphere in Zurich. Obviously, we're at the fan park, so you can see behind us, you know, the fans that haven't managed to get a ticket. They'll be in here watching the Lionesses a little bit later on. England have sold out their allocation, which is great news, and milling around. We've seen a lot of England fans, France fans, a few Netherlands fans as well. So now everyone's soaking up the atmosphere.
Courtney, what's the kind of confidence like within the England fan base at the moment? You know, are they feeling like this could be a tournament that England do go on to retain their title?
Yeah, I think so, and there's great expectation in terms of, you know, retaining a Euros for a start, obviously getting to a World Cup final in the last major tournament. So I think now England are always at a point now that there's a major expectation on them. Obviously they came out with a big win against Jamaica. I know in terms of the rankings that they're quite a lot lower, but I think that feeling is continued here into coming to Zurich, and as well the girls seem confident, they seem calm and composed. So now it's all a happy camp at the moment, both inside and out.
Tash, can I ask you, it's not been a great campaign up until this point. How significant do you think it will be that the build-up to this was so bumpy?
Not significant, if I'm being completely honest, because when I think you look at this England squad, when it comes to major tournaments, they deliver. You know, I think it's 4 finals in a row, you know, European champions, they're holders. And yes, absolutely, you want to come into a major tournament on a good run. I think the last result against Jamaica 7-0 is impressive, clean sheet, lots of goals. But I think this is business now, this is where it matters. And 9 times out of 10, Sarina Wiegman and this women's team, they deliver on the main stage. And I think I expect to see that again tonight.
Yeah, and on the back of that, just on what Tash is saying, look, in terms of, yes, some things are bumpy, in terms of, you know, Mary Earps, Millie Bright, that sort of thing, but I don't think that affects the camp. And actually before that in the Nations League, yes, I know they lost to Belgium, but a lot of injuries. They didn't have Alex Greenwood, didn't have Georgia Stanway. They've actually gone and beat Spain in the build-up. So I think it depends how you look at it. There's different perspectives to it.
And also, I mean, Courtney, you've obviously been catching up with Sarina Wiegman, and she just seems so relaxed in each interview, even when she is asked about that kind of situation. And do you feel like when she enters this kind of environment, she's just in her element, isn't she?
Yeah, well, when you've, I don't think, ever lost a game at the Euros, I think that obviously gives you a great boost. But, you know, she's always so gracious with her time, Sarina. She's very, you know, purposeful in terms of when she speaks to the media, to know your name, to get to know you. And I think that's a great attribute to her to have, and maybe that calms her down as well. But I always think, you know, she's the type of manager I would have absolutely adored to play under. You know, you look at her, you know, even on the sideline, she's always calm and composed, and she seems to have a great relationship with the players as well.
And Tash, in terms of the team news tonight, Lauren James, she came off the bench to feature against Jamaica in the final warm-up game. Do you think there is a chance that she does start tonight, or in your opinion, is it kind of worth the risk? Because they do have to manage her slightly, don't they?
I think if you're asking me if I'm a player in that 11, I want Lauren James to play. I want Lauren James playing with me, absolutely assisting. You know, she's one of the best, if not the best players in the team. However, fitness-wise, I wouldn't risk it, in my opinion. I don't think Sarina Wiegman will. I think she'll go with the same team that played against Jamaica, and then you'll see the likes of Abiba Jones or Lauren James, the same subs coming on and hopefully making that impact and difference. And we want to see a Lauren James really peaking towards the end of the tournament. So yeah, for me, don't risk it.
Courtney, we're so unfortunate here with the group, aren't we? This really is a group of death for England. How important is it, do you think, that we at least come out of today's game unscathed? Would you take a point now?
Yeah, 100%. I think, don't get me wrong, I think the Lionesses have got the ability to go and beat France, but I think it's imperative today that you don't lose. And it's, you know, it's difficult because, you know, going back to sort of that conversation around Lauren James, normally you'd have a time to feel yourself into the group and not have to risk it. But maybe there's
I agree with Tash. I don't think they will risk it, but maybe there is more of a thought in Sarina Wiegman's mind, thinking, they might need to play her or bring her on a little bit earlier than maybe they wanted to. I think the heat will impact the game as well. It is very hot today, and when you're thinking about that, that's another consideration. But yeah, look, it's a really tough group, but I think the only thing I will say as a caveat to that is to go and win a Euros, you've got to beat the best. So maybe it's just maybe a little bit inverse for us this time round, where those teams like your Frances and your Netherlands, they're stacked a little bit earlier on. If we do go and we're in the group, that means we'll probably avoid Germany in the quarter-final. So it swings and roundabouts.
And Tash, we've already talked about the kind of changing of the guard in some senses, if you like, with obviously the likes of Mary Earps and Fran Kirby, etc. But on the flip side of that, there's a huge chance for some of the younger players in the squad to go out and make a name for themselves.
There absolutely is. I think it's everyone's dream to play in a major tournament, and these players have earned the right. Yes, they're young players, but they're delivering week in, week out at club level, winning trebles, winning Champions League. So yeah, your Hannah Hampton's treble winner, her first major tournament. It's going to be a big tournament for her. Your Beaver Jones, flying, Chelsea's top goal scorer. So these players are doing it week in, week out, and they just look so confident. They never look like they're feeling the pressure, and Sarina Wiegman wouldn't put them in that environment if they weren't ready. So yeah, I think this group, I said they're not as experienced, but that doesn't mean they're not good enough to go on and win it again.
Courtney, obviously they are looking to defend their title. If we do look at the tournament as a whole, though, with some start for Spain, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, scary good is the way I described it. I think for me specifically, and this is something that I saw in the World Cup final and continue to see, that the preciseness and how quickly they move the ball around the box is frightening. And you could see, obviously, Portugal couldn't get anywhere near it. So fantastic start for them. I'm hoping, personally, they've peaked too soon. I don't think that's the case, obviously, in my head. But yeah, look, a great start from them. And the fact that they got Bonmati back onto the pitch, obviously she's not long been in hospital with viral meningitis. So yeah, really good start for them.
We can hope, can't we? Thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the game tonight.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
See you soon.
There we go. Tash Dowie and Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. And that game is, of course, live tonight. 8 o'clock kickoff. France against England. That is a tough test to kick us off. The Women's Euros 2025. Adrian Durham will be your host. And the commentary comes from Joe Shannon and Tash, who we just heard from. Also, after the full-time whistle, there will be a phone-in show with former Lioness Jordan Nobbs and Premier League legend Darren Bent. Plus, they'll have all of the live reaction from the players, from Sarina Wiegman, who will be talking to Courtney straight after the game. That was thanks to McDonald's.
UEFA Women's Euro 2025 update on talkSPORT with McDonald's. Got big McDonald's hunger? Order the iconic new Big Arch on the McDonald's app. Available from 11 a.m. at participating restaurants.
By the way, Rory, we were talking about that link with Madueke and Arsenal. We understand now that Arsenal have started advancing on personal terms. Discussions are ongoing between them and Madueke. He hasn't asked to leave Chelsea at this stage. He's focused on the Club World Cup, but he is understood to be open to an Arsenal move. Nothing agreed or close between the clubs yet, I should stress, but looks like it's gathering some legs.
I'm really surprised. I'd be very interested to hear how Arsenal fans feel about this, because from the outside looking in, if you're linked with the likes of Eberiche Eze and Rodrigo, and obviously the desperate need that there is for a centre-forward, signing a player who's actually not good enough to get into Chelsea's side, certainly not into our starting lineup, I'm not sure how inspirational that's going to be for Arsenal fans going into a new season.
81089 on the text, and you can give us a call as well, Arsenal fans, 03717 22 33 44. Let's check in at Wimbledon. What's going on, Lisa O'Sullivan?
Well, on centre court and being watched by some of the great and good of the world of sport, including Sir Geoff Hurst, Yannick Sinner, well, he's doing what he does best. He has a point against Pedro Martinez, the Spaniard finding no way through so far. Sinner leading 3-love in the first set. And over on court number 1 as well, Hayley Baptiste has got a big serve, but it's not helping her at all today. Mira Andreeva, the number 7 seed, leading 6-1, 3-1.
And Sam Ellard is watching the cricket at Edgbaston. It's the 4th day of the second test between England and India. How are England getting on, Sam?
Not particularly well. India piling on the run as their lead is growing. India 212 for 3. Their intent after lunch is pretty clear. They want to be aggressive. Rishabh Pant first ball, back cut for 4. Shubman Gill has hit 2 sixes already, hooking Josh Tongue over the boundary for 6 runs. There was 4 boundaries in the first 2 overs after lunch. So India want to get a move on. Shubman Gill was past 50 again in this series. Is 50 this time, coming off 57 balls. Rishabh Pant at the other end in a 5 has 48 runs to his name. So India 212 for 3. That's with a very healthy lead of 392 runs.
Cheers, Sam. Yeah, England with a bit of work to do, you feel there. India starting to run away with it. In just a moment, here on the Saturday session, we're going to chat about an interesting signing for Burnley. Looks like they're after Kyle Walker.
Cricket balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting, and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know. Well, here's the tale. Tennis is widely known to be a French sport. It dates back to the 12th century when people used handmade balls, and it was then called tennis, which is the verb to hold in French. And people used some pretty wacky material to make the balls with. Cork, wool, chalk, animal fur, and even human hair. A few centuries on, Germany got dead into the tennis too, but wanted to make a few modifications to the ball to make it a bit more effective. Around this time, an American chemist had just created something called vulcanized rubber. Out of that, people started developing air-filled rubber balls, which were properly bouncy, but either red or grey in colour. These were manufactured in Melton Mowbray. That's right, the home of the pork pie. One problem, the balls kept on breaking on impacts with the racket. The call of new balls please seemingly coming over every other point. Step forward English lawyer and tennis enthusiast John Moyer Heathcote, who suggested balls be covered in flannel to stop them from degrading. And thus the modern-day tennis ball was born. But these were white or black, so how did they become yellow? Well, in 1967, the controller of BBC Two, one Sir David Attenborough, decided the corporation should show Wimbledon on colour TV. He got his wish and it was wide into people's homes across the country. The only sticking point, the white balls were nearly impossible to see on the screen. So the International Tennis Federation, sensing an opportunity, started developing a new ball that would be visible even without the need for 4K LED displays. Not that anyone had that in the late 60s. After rigorous testing, they came up with the colour optic yellow and decided every ball be coated in that colour.
Good afternoon. I hope you're having a great weekend. This is the Saturday session with me, Olly, Clink, alongside Chelsea fan Rory Jennings. Rory, you were after a ticket to Oasis. Has anything come through
Nobody
yet?
cares about me.
Looked good though, didn't it?
It looked up, didn't it? Mate, I was really having flight.
All the doubters.
Didn't it look amazing? It looked like everything you wanted it to be.
Amazing.
Sounded great. The playlist was unbelievable. Everything was just what it should be.
Like not many people had their phones out. Which I like. I love that.
No, my mate was there as well. Said it was a good crowd. He said what it wasn't. You know that sort of Oasis geezer thing. It wasn't too bad. It was just like music lovers.
Love that. We'll chat about that a bit later on. Actually, yeah, we should. Here on talkSPORT though, earlier you heard the British and Irish Lions beat the Waratahs 21-10 thanks to this try from Alex Mitchell.
Dan Sheehan at the back now. First line out throw completed. He will offload to Mitchell. They feint right, go left. Alex Mitchell with another fake and scores the try. Finn Smith, his Northampton and England teammate, would have had an absolute walk-in, but Mitchell holds on to the ball and the Lions have their third try of the evening.
The world number one, Yannick Sinner, is in action at Wimbledon. What's the latest? Lisa O'Sullivan.
His opponent, Pedro Martinez, has called for help. The trainer is on and massaging the forearm and upper arm of the young Spaniard as he trails Yannick Sinner 5 games to love in the first set.
And what's the latest in the cricket? It's the second test, day 4 between England and India, Edgbaston. Sam Ellard.
Runs and more runs for India. Flurry of runs after the lunch interval. The intent from the Indian batsman is pretty clear. Includes 2 hook sixes from Shubman Gill. The India captain's incredible series continues. He's past 50. He's 53 not out. And Rishabh Pant has also reached the 50 quicker than a runner ball. This partnership worth 90 runs. The run rate with these two at the crease over 6 runs and over. India 217 for 3, leading by 397 runs.
Yeah, looking pretty tricky now for England, isn't it? Later on today at 5 o'clock there will be exclusive commentary of PSG against Bayern Munich. That is tasty in the Club World Cup quarter-finals, while over on talkSPORT 2 Wales take on the Netherlands at the Women's Euros. At 9 o'clock talkSPORT 2 will also bring you exclusive commentary of Real Madrid against Borussia Dortmund, but our main focus throughout the show this afternoon will be on England's opening game at the Women's Euros as the Lionesses take on France at 8 o'clock live here on talkSPORT. This is the Saturday session. Now, we've also been covering all of the big transfer stories. It's been a busy summer so far, and a very interesting signing, Rory, that we found out about yesterday. We discussed it. We were on Transfer Insiders last night, but it has been confirmed that Burnley have signed Kyle Walker from Manchester City.
I've seen a great announcement video. Have you seen the announcement?
No, I haven't seen it. Is it funny?
Done an announcement video that's like a parody of Lionel Richie. Hello, is it me you're looking
They're
for?
known for it, aren't they, Burnley? They're good at their announcement videos, yeah. Joining us now is Natalie Bromley, host of the No Nay Never podcast. How you doing, Natalie?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm in a little bit of a state of shock right now, I think the most of us are. It was a left field signing I didn't see coming for sure.
Yeah, I know. Does it feel like a bit of a coup for you?
A massive coup. I think it's not just in terms of the name, but I think it's in terms of the whole structure of the deal as well. I mean, we're effectively signing on a free transfer. I think the way that the board have structured this deal, Burnley only really pay Manchester City for him in the event that Burnley stay up. So if we go back down to the Championship next season, he effectively becomes a free transfer. And I think the Burnley board are finding really clever ways to get really good players in through the door to help us survive next season's campaign without causing us too many financial problems. And I think given the restrictions on spending and the challenges that clubs like Burnley have got in the Premier League market, I think it's a really great statement. Doesn't it feel like a PR move? It feels like a really great signing all round.
Yeah, that kind of player in the dressing room I feel is going to be really important. You seem happy with it. Let's hear the thoughts quickly of the former Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino. He gave his thoughts on Walker's move on Game Day Breakfast this morning.
what do you think's in Scotty Parker's mind? You know, he's got a young goalkeeper. Okay, he's been touted out. He could go to Newcastle, but he's a young goalkeeper.
Yep.
He's got Esteve in centre half, who's young. I know they've lost Egan as well. The other centre half, he's moved to Germany. Egan Riley's gone to Germany, hasn't he? And then he's signed.
I think he's joined Marseille, I think.
Yeah, Marseille, you're absolutely right. And then you've got the introduction of bringing in Twanzebe, who's been injury plagued all this season. A hell of a player, you know, former Man United player, was at Ipswich last year, but he's always had injuries in his latter stages of his career. He's not going to say latter, he's only about 27, he's still got legs in him.
Interesting stuff there, Natalie. Overall, how much do you see Kyle Walker playing for you? Do you feel like this is a signing almost for the dressing room and for what Kyle Walker will bring in his experience and understanding of the game? Or do you think this has been done specifically for the first team?
It's been done for the first team. I'm absolutely sure of it. This isn't a fringe player. This isn't similar to Ashley Barnes signing on for another season. This elevates the standard of our starting 11 straight away. For me, it feels like we might be moving to a back five. I feel like we might be playing three centre halves with Walker playing on the right side of the back five. I don't think he'll displace Conor Roberts at right back. He's pretty settled in that position. Feels to me like Scott Parker might be looking at a very sensible five at the back in the Premier League, just to try and keep us defensively a little bit sounder and just try and stop all those goals from going in. So I think he's a starter for sure.
Natalie, great stuff. Thank you very much for joining us. There we go, Natalie Bromley, host of the No Nay Never podcast. Just going back to Tony Cascarino, though, he did make some decent points, didn't he, about the fact that, you know, I feel like people, Rory, were looking at Burnley and being like, out of the clubs coming up, because we've seen it so often, haven't we, with, you know, the likes of Southampton, you know, Ipswich, arguably, and you can go even further than back. There have been a few teams that come up and try and play out from the back, and they just get absolutely decimated from minute one in the Premier League. And people looked at Burnley and thought, well, hold on, this is a team with an incredible defensive record last season. The issue is they've already lost CJ Egan-Riley, who's gone to Marseille, who was, you know, part of that brilliant defence. They look like they might lose James Trafford to Newcastle as well. And in a way, you kind of feel for them a bit, don't you? Because, you know, they've worked so hard to get promoted, but they've already lost a player that's really important. They could lose a few more. And even though they're bringing in a player like Kyle Walker, it still feels like it'll be a bit of a struggle.
No, it's going to be an uphill battle, no doubt. It's going to be really, really tough for Burnley. The reason why they have half a chance is because, you know, it used to be 40 points. 40 points was the promised land, wasn't it? That was what was going to keep you in the league. And unless you were really unlucky, like West Ham United, 40 points would see you safe. I don't think it's like that anymore. I think that the tally that you need to survive is certainly less than that.
No, it's more like 30 points.
More like 30. Yeah, I mean, at some points you think that the three teams that ultimately go down won't get 40 points between them sometimes. So no, it does look difficult for Burnley, but can they eke out some points? Can they find a way to turn defeats into draws into victories? And I think they have half a chance. I really do.
Do you know what? I feel like the last couple of seasons as well, with the teams coming up, you might have looked to the Premier League and thought, well, who are we going to be there in place of?
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas actually, potentially heading into this season, which clubs would you look at and go, they could be in a bit of trouble, and that is a team that Burnley could catch, or Sunderland could catch, or Leeds could catch?
Brentford, West Ham. Both Brentford and West Ham. I think West Ham obviously have a good enough squad, but I think they've got a dodgy manager. I really do. I think that Graham Potter is capable of taking West Ham United down. I don't think he fits or aligns with the club. When you think about the ethos of him, the way that he had them playing towards the end of last season was pitiful. And ultimately, even at a club like West Ham, I feel like the job could be too big for him. It could swallow him up. And those fans will not tolerate it. You know, fairly soon into the season, we could see a West Ham fan on the pitch planting a flag. You know, that tradition they've got where they plant a flag in the centre circle when things aren't going well. I wouldn't be surprised to see that under Potter, because I just don't think he's a West Ham manager. And Brentford, it feels like the unknown, doesn't it? Like, you know, previously when we say Brentford will probably survive, the reason why we say that is because Thomas Frank had such a good track record. They've appointed Keith Andrews, and I feel like that is dangerous. Dangerous.
Do you know what? I was at Keith Andrews' first press conference, and to be honest with you, he was very impressive, very calm, very relaxed, and there was that sense. He was with the director of football as well, Phil Giles, and they were just very sure of the decision, and they said, look, this is the Brentford way, we've done it before, it's worked for us before. But my first question for him was, you know, if someone had told you 2 or 3 years ago you'd be heading into this season as a Premier League manager, and do you know what? He was very honest. He just said, I'm ready for it, but I probably wouldn't have expected it.
Yeah, no, I think look, there's jeopardy. There's no guarantees. Under Thomas Frank, there were guarantees. Under Keith Andrews, nobody really knows, and they've also lost some massive players. Did you happen to be listening to talkSPORT when Martin O'Neill was on? And he's a joy to listen to, Martin O'Neill. I could listen to him speak about football.
He joins White and Jordan, doesn't he?
Yeah, he joined White and Jordan, and he was talking about Keith Andrews and how he felt like it would go. Very insightful, very insightful. And let's say Martin O'Neill had reservations.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we'll see how they get on. But I do just feel that there is slightly more of a chance that one of those established teams...
Is there anyone else? So I said West Ham and Brentford. Can you see anyone else being sucked into it?
Maybe Wolves. Maybe
100% Wolves. Not maybe Wolves. 100% Wolves.
Good manager, though. They do have a good manager, but if you're Burnley, Leeds, Sunderland, of course you're thinking of Wolves. Like they have to think of clubs that are potentially going to get sucked into it, and there's no doubt the Wolverhampton Wanderers are capable of going down. Yeah, let's check in on the cricket at Edgbaston, England against India. It's looking pretty tough for this now for England, isn't it, Sam Ellard?
Yeah, it is, Olly. India 232 for 3. That's the lead of 412 runs. Shubman Gill's got 58. Rishabh Pant has got 61. Rishabh Pant just hit a massive 6 over long on off the bowling of Josh Tong for 6. Shubman Gill has just used his feet to slap Josh Tong through the cover. So, as I said, the intent's pretty clear now. These two batsmen trying to get a move on. The partnership worth over 100 runs, 106. The run rate with these two at the crease is over 6 runs and over. And now really all the talk is about the D-word declaration. If India keep going at 6 and over from now until tea, their lead going into tea will be around 500 runs. And surely if they go to tea with a lead of 500 runs and 4 sessions left in the match, we can't be far off a declaration going into the evening session. I really hope from Shubman Gill's point of view he's aggressive with this declaration. He needs 4 sessions at England to try and take 10 wickets. Don't just bat, get the lead up to 600. 500 should be enough, even against this England team, who we know can be so aggressive. Pant's got 61, Gill's got 58, India 232 for 3. Bashir and Tonga bowling, the lead's 412.
Yeah, I mean, this England team love a run chase, but surely I think Sam's right. Even 500 would be a stretch for them. We'll check back in with Sam throughout the afternoon. We'll check back in as well with Lisa O'Sullivan at Wimbledon. She's watching the world number 1, Yannick Sinner, at the moment. In just a moment, though, here on talkSPORT, we'll chat a bit more about the latest transfer news, including the Victor Gyökeres news that we were talking about a bit earlier. it looked so good last night, didn't it, Oasis? It looked so good, Rory.
I'm sort of upset about how good it was. I'm almost disappointed that it was so good.
Do you know what? Goldstein was there last night, wasn't he? Andy Goldstein.
Yeah.
Drive on. I bet you drive on Monday. It will be 3 hours of his experience.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
and why not? Amazing.
That's exactly what it should be.
Exactly. Yeah. Incredible. Oasis kicked off their long-awaited gigs in Cardiff last night. Looked sensational, and we're giving you a chance to win a pair of Oasis tickets. They're like gold dust right now. The gig's in Manchester on July the 19th. You heard that right. Oasis Live 25 is sold out. Rory's gutted, but talkSPORT can get you in, and the competition ends on Monday. But that's not all as well. Alongside the tickets, we'll put you up for a night in a hotel. We'll put $5,000 in your back pocket, completely tax-free. Listen up right now for everything you need to know and how to enter.
All right, kids, you have to be over 18 to enter in the UK, excluding Northern Ireland, for the chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and $5,000 spending money. Text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m, and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. Good luck, yeah? Sorted.
God, well worth entering in it.
I mean, they are the perfect band, aren't they? They're such a great representation of British music and Britain's greatest band.
Ooh, it's got to be the Beatles, isn't it? It's got to be.
I mean, not for me. It's not for me. I mean, it's all a bit subjective, isn't it?
Yeah,
of course,
that's very true.
I just think
they're up there.
You know when you look at the set list. You know when you look at, I don't think anybody. So a set list of 15 songs. Nobody comes close to a top 15 like Oasis.
True, yeah. Did you see the set list last night? It looked incredible.
Mate, you know when that intro for cigarettes and alcohol comes on. He comes on. Imagination. Yeah, it's so good, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's so good, and they're the perfect band because you've got like the brilliance and the wit of Noel. You've got the charisma of Liam. Nothing comes close to it, and it's such a sad reflection of the modern state of British music.
Let's quickly head over to Edgbaston. There's been a wicket in the cricket. Sam Ellard.
India 237 for 4. Rishabh Pant's entertaining innings of 65 comes to an end. Shoaib Bashir, the bowler, he dances down to the 4-ball, launches it down the ground. The bat goes high in the air to square leg. The ball goes to the fielder at long off. Duckett takes the catch. The bat went further than the ball. Rishabh Pant, what a player. Goes for 65. India 237 for 4. That's for the lead of... my scorecard's gone. What's that a lead of, Ollie? Apologies. That's for the lead of 417. There we go.
Get your abacus out, Sam Ellard. One day we'll work it out. Cheers, Sam, for that. Yeah, finally a breakthrough for England there. Rory, we were chatting about a potential move for Madueke going to Arsenal. Asked a few Arsenal fans to get in touch. Not that happy. Phil, the Arsenal fan, says, I think it's an awful move for Madueke. Second-rate Chelsea player again, possibly moving to Arsenal. Richie the Gooner says, not happy with Madueke at all. Pathetic. Good player, but not what we need. I think that's a really good point too. You know, he's a right winger by trade. They don't really need that at the moment. Shemi is an Arsenal fan. He's called 03717 223344. Shemi, how would you feel if Madueke joined Arsenal?
I'm sick and tired of us being close enough and never just taking it further. It just goes to show what we're about. And this is why initially I love him and I love what he's done. And this is not even on Arteta specifically, but I just wanted I wanted us to clap him off. I think, I'm tired. Firstly, I'm tired of shopping at Chelsea in Chelsea's wheelie bin. Every single window we go to Chelsea and whoever's just like, we do him a favour and give him. Why is Noni Madueke? So where's he firstly going to play?
Yeah.
Because that's my first point. Where is he going to play? And we shouldn't even be looking at a player with this quality. I feel like the problem I have at Arsenal, we get to the point where we need to take it one further, and then we just don't pull the trigger, and we're not quite decisive, and we're not purposeful.
Yeah, I feel as well, Shemi, as well. When you look at the transfer window so far, and you look at the way your rivals have strengthened so much already.
Exactly.
Liverpool,
exactly.
Manchester City. Do you feel Arsenal are getting a bit left behind?
Yeah, but I'm not shocked as an Arsenal fan. I'm not shocked we're in this scenario we got left behind. The way the season ended is kind of the Champions League papered over the cracks, and it's a it's the thing with everyone saying, a lot of Arsenal fans, we all love what Mikel Arteta has done so far, right? And it's just like, okay, he's got us this far. Just give him one more season. He needs a striker. We can also, and I'm just like, the point is, do you believe he's going to be given the right tools to get the striker?
Shemi, can you do me a favour with regard to this link to Madueke? Like, from the outside looking in, it makes absolutely no sense to me. You know, when you look at where Madueke plays, when you look at the way that he plays, and when you look at how good he is, this doesn't make sense. But there must be a way to rationalise it. Like, can you look at it through the lens of Mikel Arteta and just tell me why Arsenal are doing this? Is it for depth? Is it for options? Like, what? I just can't make sense of it.
I just, honestly, maybe the age, because for me, is it that much of an upgrade? Because he's going to play left wing, right? He's not going to replace Bukayo Saka. Is it that much of an upgrade from Martinelli? Really?
Is it any upgrade from Martinelli? Overall, who's a better player, Madueke or Martinelli?
Martinelli's a better player.
I'm inclined to agree with you. So what? So it just doesn't make sense.
That's the thing, and the issue we have is, okay, so you want to get the best in class, which right now we're linked to Rodrigo. Cool. I believe we're more likely to get Madueke than Rodrigo. And Arsenal's linked to a lot of players, but I always believe we're always going to undercut and get the one that's just not best in class. That's why Rice was a big shock to the fan base, and we thought, wow, this is really good. This is really going to be a change. But I don't understand. And firstly, the fact that the first announcement was a goalkeeper, it just goes to show how the lack of intent we're going to have this season. It's just going to be another. No Arsenal fan has outright come out and said, "Yeah, we're going to win this season."
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Shane. It looks a bit worrying at the moment. Thanks for your call, mate. 03717223344.
You know, I've predicted Arsenal to win the league the last 3 years. I've genuinely felt like they had a chance of doing it. I felt like they'd been the best team in the country at various points. There was certainly a point at the end of last season, you know, from January to the end of season, when ultimately they lost to Villa. But they were sensational. Do you remember? They just got back from Dubai. Ben White was like a man possessed, and they were the best team in the country for 6 months. They were the reason they didn't win the league that year was because just before Christmas, I think they dropped points to West Ham United. They dropped points to Fulham. But everything that we saw towards the end of that season suggested last season was going to be theirs. Then, when you factor in Man City don't win the league, it almost had to be theirs. And I kind of feel like they may have missed the boat.
But I think Shemi there was absolutely bang on, because, all right, you couldn't really have predicted the fall-off that Manchester City had, but once again in that, when we knew it was a season where we imagined Arsenal would run them close, and once again they didn't go in for a striker. That had been a conversation for ages.
Noni Madueke, Kepa Arrizabalaga. I mean, look, Zubimendi's a good signing, no doubt. Is it
Christian Norgard?
Norgard, Kepa Arrizabalaga, Noni Madueke. you know somebody like Rodrigo, if they do get that one over the line, Rodrigo moves the needle and changes the conversation altogether. 100%. Rodrigo is a serial winner, serial European Cup winner, and a player that's done it at the biggest stage. Running down the wing at the Bernabeu, you're an elite level footballer, right? He would be a good signing, and it would make Bukayo Saka a better player. And you could almost argue that they then wouldn't be so desperate to sign the number 9 if they had a player like Rodrigo scoring goals off the wing. But if that becomes a front line of Madueke, Havertz and Saka, suddenly Bukayo Saka's got to do some serious heavy lifting.
That's the thing, yeah.
And at what point does Saka go? This is ridiculous.
And I just feel that there were certain games, and this has been Arsenal's problem, there's certain games where they're so predictable because they're so reliant on
Saka. They launch the ball into the box and hope for the best, don't they?
Exactly.
You know, like the ingenuity isn't there. That might change a bit with Zubimendi.
Yeah.
But the predictability of Arsenal's attack, you know, there were various points last season where, in big games as well, Paris Saint-Germain, they're sticking a big man up front and literally launching the ball into the box. Do you remember when they were doing like the throw-ins? Trying to win throw-ins in the way that Vinnie Jones' Wimbledon did.
A bit of that was out of necessity, because, yes, they had injuries, but they also hadn't strengthened in those areas, which meant that they were lacking a sense of order and having to play Mikel Merino up top. He didn't do that badly, to be fair, but...
He did do badly.
But he shouldn't have been playing there.
He did well for a makeshift forward, but... He didn't do as well as a forward would do. He didn't do as well as Ian Wright would have done scoring goals. You know, it's all very well to be a makeshift player and do well in that position, but you're judging them through a completely different...
He shouldn't have been playing there.
If somebody's playing out of position, like when John Terry went in goal for us at the Majeski, he did brilliantly. But he didn't do brilliantly compared to a goalkeeper. He did brilliantly because he's not a goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not comparing them. You're saying he did really well in this context.
Yeah,
not he did really well for a forward.
Yeah, very, very true. Let's check in on the latest at Wimbledon. How's Yannick Sinner getting on, Lisa O'Sullivan?
Well, he looks to me like he's got his slippers on and making himself at home here on centre court. Although Pedro Martinez has taken 3 games off him. Yannick Sinner getting to the third round for the loss of just 12 games in total. 6-1, 1-2 on serve in that second set. And Mira Andreeva has booked her place in the last 16. The 18-year-old now, number 7 seed, getting past Hayley Baptiste quite comfortably in the end, 6-1, 6-3. And the covers are off elsewhere, so we have play on the outside courts. Elena Rybakina has just lost the first set to Clara Thorsen of Denmark.
Lisa, thank you very much indeed. In just a moment here on the Saturday session, we'll carry on with our transfer chat. We'll chat a bit of Newcastle and we'll also talk about some financial charges received by Chelsea and Aston Villa. This is the Saturday session on talkSPORT. Very good afternoon. This is Saturday Session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly, Clink. I've got the Chelsea fan Rory Jennings alongside me. By the way, the latest episode of Wimbledon Unfiltered with Nick Kyrgios is now available on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. In this edition, Nick reveals why Rafa Nadal was the king of mind games off the court.
Tennis is such a strange sport like that. You know, you eat with your opponents. You basically, you know, you're sharing with them. They're right there. You're seeing them all the time. It's going to be the only sport in the world where you're seeing your opponent that much.
Who's the worst at it? Is there somebody who really got underneath your skin and rattled you in those circumstances that you wanted to just get a grip of them?
It was probably Rafa, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like Rafa he was a nightmare before you played him because he would get his racket and he would swing really hard in front of you and like really try and like, intimidate you. And it did work. Like it did work because, you know, you're sitting there maybe listening to music and you just hear this guy's racket just like zooming and he's jumping around. It's just like, he did make you feel a bit nervous. Like I actually videoed it one time. I think I've got it on my social media. Like I was just videoing him like warming up in the background in Cincinnati, and then I destroyed him. So it was fine. But yeah, he had a lot of theatrics inside the locker room.
Love Kyrgios there. It's all right because I destroyed him. That's brilliant. I bet you're a bit like that with the mind games. When you play paddle with your mates.
Mate, what's your issue? Let's forget what you're about to say.
I bet you're a little wind-up merchant before a paddle match.
Yeah, I mean, I have my moments. But let's drill down more into your hostility towards paddle. It's a good game, played by good people. What's your issue with paddle?
I just don't know. Not for me, mate. Can you see me getting around a court?
No, certainly not at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Certainly not at the moment. Limping.
Ankle,
it took me 15 minutes to get to a coffee shop with you. It's around the corner.
For your daily roundup of each day of Wimbledon, tune into Wimbledon Unfiltered with Nick Kyrgios as the 7-time ATP title winner joins Gordon Smart for a look at all of the news from the day. He's joined by some very special guests as well. It's available each weeknight from 9:30 on YouTube and CTV. Now, Rory, your Chelsea, along with Aston Villa and Barcelona, are being fined by UEFA for breaking financial rules. The football finance expert Kieran Maguire was on game day breakfast. He explained the sanctions that Chelsea and Villa have received from UEFA.
UEFA's rules are a lot stricter than those of the Premier League, which is why both Chelsea and Aston Villa failed and therefore are up on a charge. But the punishment tends to be far lighter than that of the Premier League. UEFA historically have tended to go down the route of fines. If we go back to 2013 and Manchester City and PSG both broke the rules, they were then given a fine and they were given a squad cap and they were given a wage control and things like that. So that's the route that UEFA prefers because it wants to see the big clubs in its competition because it's in UEFA's interests for that to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea have been punished. It maybe puts them under a bit more pressure to make a few sales this summer, hence why we've been talking about Madueke. But at the same time, Rory, they're in a tournament at the moment where they've already earned 61 million. They could end up earning something like 120 million from it. Yeah. So use that to pay the fine.
No, this is ridiculous. I mean, when you... Like, the transgression here involves about 300 million quid and the fine involves 27 million quid. So it's almost in your interest to commit the offence and then just take the fine. What I think these football clubs...
though, isn't it?
No, it's wrong. I think until... And this, obviously... Look, I'm a Chelsea fan, so I don't necessarily want this to be confined to the issues at Chelsea. Until you start punishing football clubs where it hurts, which is, for most football clubs that are going to be found guilty of these kind of offences, it's only worth punishing them with points on the board. Because the fines are insignificant. You can't fine venture capitalists and expect them to take that seriously. What they do is they take the fine into their expenditure. Whatever they're working out their expenditure to be, they just almost incorporate the fine. They go, okay, this is going to cost us this much money. The fine is going to cost us this much money. Therefore, you just kind of factor it all in. It's like if you're buying a house, and if you're buying a house for 300 grand, and there was some sort of fine attached for 50 grand, you go, right, it's a 350 grand house. You just accept the fine and make it part of your planning. Yeah, until you start basically making the penalty points on the board, nothing will change.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, like Kieran was saying there, that if it was a Premier League situation, it would be the points on the board, and that's why clubs are so afraid of breaking PSR rules.
There's just no point. Like Chelsea are owned by a consortium, but a lot of the money comes from American billionaire venture capitalists. They don't care about your fine. Manchester City are owned by a state. They don't care about your fine. Newcastle United are owned by the PIF. They don't care about your fine. Newcastle United would massively care about a 10-point deduction, though. Chelsea would massively care about a 10-point deduction. But Man City would massively care because it costs you something significant. It costs you the title, it costs you top 4, it costs you whatever your aspirations are that season. But yeah, that you cannot fine people who are billionaires and expect them to care about your fine.
It feels a bit pointless, doesn't it? It really does feel a bit pointless.
No, it's worse than pointless because I feel like what it is it's paying lip service to an issue that doesn't exist and profiting off it. That's the other thing. I feel like the governing bodies, rather than actually wanting to clamp down on the issue, they profit because they fine the clubs and they therefore turn a profit. Everybody wins, effectively. The clubs are happy because they've committed the offence, they've benefited from the offence, they pay. The recipients of the pay are happy because they've earned some money. And ultimately, the people that are left are the people that have abided by the rules.
Yeah.
You know, Newcastle United, for example. Newcastle United can't spend.
Yeah. Well, talking of that, they have offered 55 million for the Forest winger Anthony Elanga. So it looks like they're going to get the ball rolling with their business this summer, which I've got to say, as a Newcastle fan, I am delighted that they are finally going to be getting going, because I feel like it's been a frustrating summer so far. They've missed out on plenty of targets too. When you look at Elanga as a signing from the outside, because I'm excited by it as a fan, how are you? You were talking about the Madueke deal there with our caller Shemi, the Arsenal fan, from a kind of outsider's perspective. What do you make of that deal looking in?
I think he's a very good player. I think he's a very good player, and I think he'd do a good job for Newcastle United. The reason why I question it, and obviously your take on this as to how appetising you find this is interesting, is because I find him it's a slightly more diluted signing than some of the players that you've been linked with. So, for example, Brian Burma at one point felt like he was going to Newcastle United. Felt like a very good signing. Liam Delap, young, prodigious talent, proven in the Premier League, arguably the young, hot prospect of the Premier League.
Yeah, he's not going to start ahead of Isak, though, is he?
Not about that. It's not about that. It's about building a squad for
but it is for him.
When you're a top club, you have more than one good player per position. Like when Chelsea signed Nicolas Anelka when we had Didier Drogba.
Yeah, but Liam Delap has joined Chelsea because he thinks he will be starting every single week as number 9.
Right, but...
Whereas at Newcastle, he wouldn't do that.
No, but the point is that good clubs have more than one good player per position. So Newcastle United trying to sign Liam Delap, it isn't about, well, we have Isak and we only need 11 players. You're competing on multiple fronts. You're in the Champions League.
I'm viewing it from Liam Delap's point of view. Right, he won't want to join.
Okay, so how do you rationalise Nicolas Anelka signing for Chelsea when Didier Drogba was there? How do you rationalise Hernan Crespo signing for Chelsea when Didier Drogba was there? These things happen. Shevchenko signed for Chelsea when Didier Drogba was there. These players have ambition, and they realise that if the season goes as you hope it will go, the club will play in excess of, 55, 60
you can't
games?
compare that, though, because Alexander Isak, compared to Liam Delap right now, is a far better player.
Yeah.
Didier Drogba was a very talented player, but so was Hernan Crespo. So was Nicolas Anelka.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The point is
level's closer, so they can battle for that number 9 position. What I'm saying is, Alexander Isak is one of the best number 9s in world football. Right. It would have been unbelievably difficult for Liam Delap to stake a starting place.
So you believe that's the reason that he chose Chelsea?
Yeah.
Nothing else?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, so why is Brian Mbeumo not chosen Newcastle then?
That's frustrating, but I feel like that's because Manchester United are going to be offering him wages that at the moment, because of the PSR restrictions, Newcastle can't offer.
There's a correlation, isn't there, between good, young, proven players who are opting out of signing for Newcastle United. Mark Gahey is another player that was heavily linked with Newcastle United. He's the best English defender around at the moment. It's a position where Newcastle ultimately, in fact, definitely need reinforcements. And Mark Gahey has opted out of Newcastle. You can't deny that there's a thing.
Well, not necessarily yet.
Well,
still linked.
You can't deny that there's a thing where Newcastle United seem to be linked, heavily linked, and almost favourites for certain footballers, and then the footballer invariably turns his back on the club.
Well, yeah, but
this is happening time and time again.
Yeah, that's because they're being offered unbelievable packages from clubs like Manchester United, Chelsea, etc. Because the PSR rules are skewed towards the big 6, so they always benefit from it.
But it can't solely be money, can it?
Maybe it's not solely money, but I think in most instances it is.
But Newcastle should be able to counter the money that Manchester United are offering.
Yeah, they should be able to, but they can't because they've got restrictions.
No, they should be able to counter it with the football project. They're a Champions League club. Manchester United are in the doldrums, and yet it's still a more appealing proposition to go to Manchester United than Newcastle, according to Brian Burma.
Yeah, if you've got an extra 20, 30k in your pay packet, I can see why they would be tempted to go to Manchester United.
Look, it feels like I'm seeing an issue where maybe you aren't. You're the Newcastle United fan. Do you think it's absolutely fine then, and there's no reason to panic?
No, I don't think it's fine. It's a worry. It's a worry, but I just don't think it's completely their fault.
A theme is developing where good players are being heavily linked with Newcastle. Newcastle are open in their pursuit of that player, and that player invariably turns Newcastle down. Yeah. This isn't my imagination. This is happening.
Imagine if Chelsea sweeping for Alanga now. That would be a bit annoying, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't be that surprising.
No, yeah, exactly. Let's check in on Wimbledon. What's going on, Lisa O'Sullivan?
Straight sets win for Maria Andreeva, takes her through to the last 16, but we are here on centre court watching Jannik Sinner, the world number one, take on Pedro Martinez of Spain. 6-1, 4-2 is the lead for Jannik Sinner, and Martinez is doing his best to stay in this, but you've got to admit that Jannik Sinner is very much the better player here. Martinez has never beaten a top 5 player, and I don't think it's going to happen today, although things a little more interesting in this second set.
And what's the latest with the cricket? It's the 4th day between England and India at Edgbaston. Sam Ellard.
India 253 for 4, that's the lead, or 433 runs. Shubman Gill has just used his feet to hit Shoaib Bashir over mid-off. Gill moves on to 71, but over the last 20 minutes since the wicket of Rishabh Pant for 65, it's actually been a little bit of a quieter period. Ravi Jadeja hasn't really got going. He's faced 17 balls, has only got 4 runs. The Shoaib Bashir once again comes into Shubman Gill, and this time the India captain loses his feet and he looks to go over the leg side boundary, and he goes for another 6. So Gill moves on to 77. Jadeja's got 4. The India captain's incredible series continues. A century in the first test, a double century first innings second test. He's now got 77. India 259 for 4, leading by 439 runs.
Sam Ellard, who's found his calculator now, and he's going to need it.
He was well prepared there, wasn't he? Yeah. Abacus out, calculator ready. Yeah, he's done his workings out, ready to show everyone. Yeah.
Great work as always from Sam. Next up here on the Saturday session, we're going to be looking back at the BKB bare knuckle boxing, which is taking place on the talkSPORT YouTube channel tonight. Very good afternoon. This is the Saturday session on talkSPORT. I'm Olly, Clink. I've got the company of Rory, Jennings all the way through until 5 o'clock. Tonight, you can watch free BKB bare knuckle boxing over on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel as Harry Gigliotti and Callum Skane face off in Bolton. I'm delighted to say that DAZN reporter Claudia Treos has joined us now to chat about this. Claudia, how you doing?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Thank you very much indeed. Very excited for this tonight. For those who aren't quite sure about bare knuckle boxing, can you explain to us, is it as brutal as it sounds?
It's I don't like to use the word brutal. I'd like to use the word exhilarating, exciting, fast-paced. It's boxing on steroids.
That's a brilliant description.
Yeah, I'm watching some of it now on YouTube. I mean, you are right. It is exhilarating.
Yes.
It's about as aggressive as it could possibly be. It looks fantastic. What's the atmosphere like in the arenas?
Well, it's always, the fans are, I'd say, our number one element to bring the excitement even higher, because we always bring locals, and you know how it is when you're dealing with regional rivalries. You always get the East against the West, the North against the South, and they just add to that excitement of the arena, and that trickles into the Trigon. And because it is the smallest surface in combat sports, imagine the combination. And we usually have fighters are always, front foot heavy, coming forward, aggressive fighters. And my sentence whenever I'm doing the play-by-play is don't blink, because you might miss the action.
I love it.
Everything can change in a second.
Oh, I love that. And obviously talkSPORT very proud to be exclusive partners with BKB bare knuckle boxing. You talk about the crowds there. How much is the sport growing, would you say, Claudia?
It's grown, I'd say, almost 150% when I started back in what used to be BYB 8, and now we're in BKB 43. We used to have arenas that would fill maybe 1,000 people, 1,500 people. Now we have arenas that go up to 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people. Back when we started very small in the US, and then we joined with BKB here in the UK, and now we're global. We have fighters that represent like 34 different countries. And with you guys, we're going everywhere in Europe. So you tell me how that growth is looking.
Oh, well, absolutely. And the fight tonight, Harry Gigliotti against Callum Skane, how do you see that one playing out?
Well, that's going to be a very, very tough fight for both fighters. We're talking about two undisputed with massive boxing pedigree. So we're looking at two strikers, and, based on their experience in boxing, again, they're front foot type fighters, always coming forward, very aggressive. Skane is known here in Wales as being a knockout artist, while Gigliotti is more known as a master of the sweet science. So that's going to be a nice combination of a boxer puncher versus a brawler. So, styles makes fights. And this is what's going to make this defense of the super lightweight title even more interesting.
Love it. Claudia, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you. I hope to see you guys there, and, let's get the party started.
Absolutely,
Amazing.
Yeah. Joe, I sold it so well there as well. Don't blink. Yeah. Amazing.
No,
yeah.
do you know what? I've just been watching it on YouTube. The word she used is exhilarating, and it is most certainly exhilarating.
Do you know what? I'm obviously opposite you right now, watching your face as you watch that.
Because it's such a small, it's not a ring, it's a triangle.
Yeah.
And there's just nowhere to go. It's like... it's
like a fight in a phone box, isn't it?
It's a fight in a phone box. You have no option but to fight or go down.
Oh, wow. You can fight yourself in a phone box for the way you go.
Dennis Wise quote, wasn't it?
Yeah. You can watch free BKB bare knuckle boxing over on the talkSPORT YouTube channel tonight. Gigliotti against Skane. They face off in Bolton, and that is on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel tonight from 6:45. The only rule is you can't blink. Let's chat about some other transfer stories. Rory, Manchester United, we understand, have been quoted 35 million to sign Chelsea striker Christopher Nkunku, which again, I feel is another player that Chelsea would be grateful to get off their books. And 35 million, where's that fee come from?
Yeah, I if you were to think of like Chelsea strikers that just haven't worked, or Chelsea flop signings, I think Christopher Nkunku, I would always say that one of Chelsea's worst ever strikers was Chris Sutton. I think you go Chris Sutton and Alvaro Morata as like the two most uninspiring, most underwhelming. The worst ever Chelsea 11. Chris Sutton, Alvaro Morata. Christopher Nkunku has given both of those now a run for their money. There is a world in which Christopher Nkunku could somehow displace Alvaro Morata. Chris Sutton won't be being displaced from the worst ever Chelsea 11 for a long time. But Alvaro Morata might be being displaced for Christopher Nkunku. It has been abysmal, dreadful. Very few, if any, good moments.
What do you think he's done with all the balloons that he never got to blow up from scoring?
Yeah, got a house full of them.
He's got a room in his house full of balloons.
Yeah. No, and if Manchester United somehow are thinking that Christopher
I'm sorry,
Nkunku,
but that's excellent business for Chelsea if that happens. 35 million.
But do you know what it would be, though? I think it would be that moment, that almost epiphany moment where you go, Manchester United is still the same Manchester United that were making dreadful decisions. This new ownership that have come in, we've kind of look at Manchester United in a slightly different way now. You think Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, is going to be different. They're not going to be handing out these contracts to players that are just not good enough to play for the club in the way that they did fairly recently with somebody like Manuel Ugarte or years ago with Luke Shaw. You felt like there was a new moment, sea change at the club. If they go and sign Christopher Nkunku after clear, categorical proof that he is not good enough to play in the Premier League, it would be them going back to square one.
A bit earlier on, we were chatting about the job Rescue has done, and we were talking obviously about how much Chelsea have spent and the fact that they are being fined and that they shouldn't really have to worry about it. We've got a text from Kev who says the amount Chelsea have spent and still carry on spending, they should be competing for the league, and they are absolutely nowhere near it.
Yeah, the thing is, he's right. If you just analyse the top line, if you say Chelsea have spent the best part of £2 billion, why are we not competing for the league? It's a legitimate question. But then you have to ask where we're spending the money and what we're spending the money on and what we're trying to buy. Chelsea are not trying to build the best possible team. If we were, we would have gone out and we would have tried to sign a player like Declan Rice. You go out and you buy best-in-class players in positions where you desperately need them. So you look at where your team is struggling and you go out and you sign the best possible player that you can. You go and you try and sign Harry Kane. You go and you try and sign Victor Osimhen. We went and we signed Nicholas Jackson. We spent money, but we're not trying to sign the best possible player to win us the league. We don't buy players that are over a certain age.
Yeah, the policy's wrong.
The policy isn't trying to win the league, though. The policy is trying to sign players whose value will increase and the club will therefore be worth a lot more money than what these billionaire venture capitalists paid for it.
Yeah, give us a text on 81089. You can give us a call as well, 03717 223344. If you're a Manchester United fan, what do you make of those links to Christopher Nkunku? Is he really going to be the answer in terms of their front three next season? Some of the signings very good, I think. Cunha and Burmo eventually, you'd imagine, coming through the door. Adding Nkunku to that, would that be the right thing? Let's check back in at Wimbledon. Watching for talkSPORT is Lisa O'Sullivan.
The centre court crowd love an underdog. They're doing their best to cheer on Pedro Martinez of Spain, who had an advantage at a break point there against Yannick Sinner in this second set. Sinner serving 4-3 up, so has a break already. He's taken that first set 6-1. We've seen Mira Andreeva go through earlier today, but on court number one is Emma Navarro, not keen to be labelled a billionaire's daughter. Her investment banker dad, Ben, is worth $4.8 billion. She's taking on Barbora Krejcikova, last year's champion. Krejcikova has... we're on serve, basically. Navarro taking the first game. She's a number 10 seed, taking on Krejcikova, who is seeded 17.
Lisa, thank you very much indeed. What's the latest in the cricket then? Sam Ellard, England still struggling with the ball a bit?
Yeah, 267 for 4 India, leading by 447. The one wicket for England in the afternoon session. Pant gone for 65, trying to smash over Bashir out of Edgbaston, but he picked out the fielder Ben Duckett out long off. Since that wicket, Shubman Gill has hit a 6 of the bowling of Bashir, but things have maybe slowed down a little for an India perspective. Jadeja's faced 22 balls, only made 6 runs, hasn't played his shot on Angie yet, which seems bizarre given the healthy lead India have got. But Shubman Gill's ridiculous series continues, 82 not out. He's the first Indian to achieve 500 runs in the first 2 tests of a series, and just the 13th player in history. Don Bradman's all-time record for most runs in a series, 974, is not completely impossible with 3 tests to come. Wow. Remarkable stuff from Gill. India are 267 for 4 with a lead of 447.
Wow, that is an absolutely astonishing stat if he was able to break that record set by Don Bradman. Wow, that would be incredible. Next up here on the Saturday session, we're going to be joined by former Cardiff QPR and Spurs defender Steven Caulker after he's moved to a club in Iceland.
Cricket balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know. Well, here's the tale. Tennis is widely known to be a French sport. It dates back to the 12th century when people used handmade balls, and it was then called tennis, which is the verb to hold in French. And people used some pretty wacky material to make the balls with. Cork, wool, chalk, animal fur, and even human hair. A few centuries on, Germany got dead into the tennis too, but wanted to make a few modifications to the ball to make it a bit more effective. Around this time, an American chemist had just created something called vulcanized rubber. Out of that, people started developing air-filled rubber balls, which were properly bouncy, but either red or grey in colour. These were manufactured in Melton Mowbray. That's right, the home of the pork pie. One problem, the balls kept on breaking on impact with the racket. The call of new balls please seemingly coming over every other point. Step forward English lawyer and tennis enthusiast John Moyer Heathcote, who suggested balls be covered in flannel to stop them from degrading. And thus the modern-day tennis ball was born. But these were white or black, so how did they become yellow? Well, in 1967, the controller of BBC Two, one Sir David Attenborough, decided the corporation should show Wimbledon on colour TV. He got his wish and it was wide into people's homes across the country. The only sticking point, the white balls were nearly impossible to see on the screen. So the International Tennis Federation, sensing an opportunity, started developing a new ball that would be visible even without the need for 4K LED displays. Not that anyone had that in the late 60s. After rigorous testing,
Very good afternoon. This is the Saturday session with me, Olly, Clink, alongside Chelsea fan Rory, Jennings. Earlier on talkSPORT, you heard the British and Irish Lions beat the Waratahs 21-10. The next warm-up test will be live on talkSPORT 2 on Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Don't miss that as they warm up for the series, which will be live and exclusive with talkSPORT. What's the latest, though, at Wimbledon so far this afternoon? Lisa O'Sullivan.
We've got a bit of a ridiculous situation because on number one court, we've had a little bit of rain and the roof was opened before the match between Barbora Krejcikova and Emma Navarro. So they are waiting for the weird shower that came out of nowhere to pass and the play to resume. As it stands, it is 1-all in the first set, while over on centre, Yannick Sinner is 6-1, 5-3 up on Pedro Martinez.
England struggling away in the cricket at Edgbaston. It's the second test, day 4. What's the latest, Sam Ellard?
India 270 for 4. That's a lead of 450 runs. The 1 wicket in the afternoon session. Pant going for 65. Shubman Gill's remarkable series continues. The captain not out on 84. Ravi Jadeja's faced 27 balls and a 7 runs to his name. He's in no rush. India 270 for 4, leading by 450.
Later on today at 5 o'clock, there'll be exclusive commentary of PSG, the European champions, against Bayern Munich in the Club World Cup quarter-finals. That is a tasty tie. Well, over on talkSPORT 2, Wales take on the Netherlands at the Women's Euros at 9 o'clock. talkSPORT 2 will also bring you exclusive commentary of Real Madrid against Borussia Dortmund, but our main focus throughout the show, throughout the afternoon, will be on England's opening game at the Women's Euros as they take on France at 8 o'clock. They're looking to retain their Euros title. It will be live here on talkSPORT. This is the Saturday session. Now, the former Premier League star Steven Caulker has signed for his 17th club, aged 33. He is going to be heading out to Iceland to join the top flight side Stjarnan on a 1.5-year deal. And I'm delighted to say that Steven Caulker, the former Spurs, Cardiff, QPR, Liverpool and England centre-back, joins us now. Steven, how are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, really, really good, thanks. So take us through what went about when you were thinking about making this move over to Iceland.
So I had sort of brief conversation a year ago with the coach, and he offered me the opportunity to come in as assistant manager alongside playing. And I felt a year ago I felt I still had a bit more in the legs, so I continued out in Turkey, played there for another year. But this year I just felt I've just finished my A license. I absolutely love coaching. Did a lot of coaching with the youngsters, alongside playing last year. And I just felt if I can get an opportunity to get on the grass as much as possible, learn as much as possible from a really experienced manager, then this is the right place to be. And I came here a couple of weeks ago because naturally I had questions around going to Iceland. What does the football look like? What's the country like? But all those questions were answered. 3-4 weeks ago, I came over here. Beautiful country, great people, great environment to work in, and they've got really good facilities, which I guess I didn't know beforehand what to expect. But I've walked into a good club, a professional environment, and like I said, I've got an opportunity here to start my coaching journey and to learn from a really good manager.
Yeah, I mean, and the country are very excited to have you too. There are reports in Iceland calling it one of the biggest transfers in the history of Icelandic football, given your prestige, of course, given your career. It's interesting because you had a spell at Malaga too, didn't you, in terms of your coaching? But for you, as well as obviously, bringing them your playing services, it feels to me as if this is a chance for you, like you were saying there, to develop your coaching game.
Absolutely. It was sort of an opportunity that it was a bit random, let's say, and I'm sure a lot of people have questioned me back home why Iceland, but I feel it's a really good environment to learn. There's if I would have started in England, I'd have had to have gone right down to the bottom, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel that over here in Iceland, I get the opportunity to work in a really professional environment. So we've got the opportunities to compete in Europe. If we finish in the top 3 in the league this year, there's an opportunity to go to, even Champions League qualifying. So I think there's really good opportunities for me here to learn, to challenge myself, and also to experience a new culture, which I'm always open to doing. Like you mentioned, I went and done it in Spain. I've played in Turkey. I've represented Sierra Leone over in Africa. So I think all of these experiences will help shape me into the manager that I want to be one day.
And with that in mind, what is the ultimate ambition? Do you want to manage ideally in England, ideally in the Premier League, or do you see the opportunity potentially taking you elsewhere?
10 years from now, I'd love to be a manager in the Premier League. Absolutely. I feel that I've got a lot of regrets from my playing career. I made a lot of mistakes, especially off the pitch, and I feel that I never fulfilled my potential. So as a coach, I'm willing to do what it takes. As an example, being over here in Iceland, working long hours, which is strange because it's 24-hour daylight right now. So you sort of finish work and it might be 7 o'clock, but it's still bright sun. So it's a little bit strange, but I love it. And as I said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. So who knows what my next step could be from here. I'm just kind of focusing on the moment, where I am. And it's great because the season's ongoing. So our season's slightly different to how it is in the UK. So I've walked into an environment where we've got games every few days. So it's kind of like straight into it. I'm on the training pitch. I've got to learn all their names obviously very quickly, and I'm just enjoying the challenge, and I'm simultaneously getting fit because I will put my boots on sort of in 3 to 4 weeks time. So 2 jobs at the moment.
Yeah, how are you getting on with the language as well, Stephen? You got it downloaded on Duolingo? Yeah, giving it a go.
It is extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. I thought. I'll be honest, I was probably a bit overconfident because I was like, no, I'm fluent in Turkish now, and a little bit of Spanish. I'll be like, I'll be good picking up another language, but it is really, really, really challenging. So I'm not sure how fluent I'm going to be while I'm over here, but thankfully their English is on point.
Can you give us anything? You learned any of the basic words yet?
You put me on the spot here. Okay. I'll say Godan Dain, which is good morning, and then Sailid, which is like, what's up? How you doing?
You're already there, mate. That's about as much as I know in French.
Yeah. Got an GCSE.
Oh, great stuff. Stephen, obviously, while we've got you, one of your former clubs, Tottenham Hotspur, have had a change of manager over the summer. What are your thoughts on Thomas Frank coming into the club?
I think he's a brilliant manager, brilliant man manager from what I've heard. He just comes across with a great guy. He's got a great aura about him. I think he's earned the right to be at a big club. He's done really well at Brentford. He's done a fantastic job, and it's going to be really interesting to see now how he transitions. I thought Big Ange was probably harshly sacked, if I'm honest, but we're on to a new era. That is the past for Tottenham Hotspur. It's Thomas Frank. Let's see what he does with the squad. Let's see how much Daniel Levy backs him in the transfer window. And I'd say it's an exciting time at Spurs. It's always an exciting time at Spurs. There's always something going on. But with the Europa League win under the belt, there are going to be certain expectations this year. So it's not going to be an easy job for him. But I'm excited to see what he does there.
Do you think it's a defining season for Tottenham, this one? They've made it into the Champions League. The league form almost pales into its significance. They are now a Champions League club. Do you think they need to now build on that? Otherwise, they could find themselves simply going back to square one.
I'm going to flip that on his head and say it's a defining season for Arsenal. If I'm honest with you, I think it's a defining season for the other side of North London. For Tottenham, no, I would say with a new manager, there's always going to be a bit of a time to transition. We saw it last year with Chelsea. I'd imagine we're going to see it this year with Tottenham, a slight transition there. But I would like to see, to answer the question properly, I would like to see Spurs maintain it. I would like to see Spurs, finish in the top four. I'd like to see them go as far as they can in the Champions League. Can they win a trophy? Can they win an FA Cup? It would be great to see. But I wouldn't say it's a defining season, because every time you get your manager in, you're starting again, aren't you? So Spurs are going through that rebuild. I tell you what I am going to be really interested to see is to see the transfer window, to see what signings are brought in this window.
Well, on that as well, Stephen, there have been a couple of links with Christian Romero potentially leaving the club. He's been linked with Atletico Madrid. Do you think he's a player that Tottenham could afford to let go?
No, he's a player that Spurs need, absolutely. He's someone who's sort of the backbone of Spurs, if you like. He's often given the armband there. If you are talking about defining season, I think, keeping hold of the leaders within the team, keeping hold of the more experienced players, is going to be vital. It's going to be really, really important. So the fact that they are playing Champions League this season, I would like to see that, the bigger names stay, and Christian Romero is certainly one of them.
I just want to ask you about one of your other former clubs as well, Cardiff, because it looks at the moment as if Gareth Bale is getting a consortium together. It feels like exciting times for them.
It does, and it's probably needed. For my time at the club, I worked under Vincent Tan, who, I think his heart was in the right place, and he put a lot of money into the club. It didn't work out, whether he was misadvised by people underneath him or not, I don't know. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but for the amount of money he's put in, obviously the results haven't been what he would have expected. So I think that the fans do deserve a fresh start, and it would be nice to see Cardiff be taken over by a Welsh owner, and with Gareth Bale, he's been there, he's done it, he's been a phenomenal player. So it would be really interesting to see a club led by him, and to see what changes he would make, and to see Cardiff back where they belong. I would love to see Cardiff in the Premier League. That's what I'd love to see, but it's going to take a while. Talk about rebuilding the Spurs. Cardiff have a lot more rebuilding to do before they can even entertain the idea of Premier League. So first things first, let's try to get them back to the Championship, get some stability, and see where they go from there.
Stephen, just before we let you go, you mentioned that it's basically daylight the whole time. Please tell me you've got blackout blinds.
Yeah.
Or it's a disaster.
Yeah, I have to a certain degree, but the light still creeps in. It's really, really strange. 24-hour daylight. 2 o'clock in the morning, the sun is still shining. So it's really, really. It's actually quite refreshing, but it's kind of at the same time quite strange for me to adapt to that. But they've all said make the most of it, because as soon as September, October hits, it's the weather changes for sure. Dark days, you only get 4 or 5 hours daylight, and obviously you get the snow with it. So again, another experience for me to deal with, and a lot of it is we're playing on artificial pitches, so again adapting to that side of things as well. But I love it. I'm going to write a book one day, and I'm sure I'm going to have plenty of stories to tell.
Fantastic stuff. Well, good luck out there. Hope it goes really well for you, Stephen. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, Stephen.
Top man, thanks a lot. Have a good day.
There we go. Steven Caulker there. I mean, I love the way he's talking there. He's been out in Turkey. He's been out in Spain. He's thrown himself into these new cultures.
Totally. And do you know what else as well? I really hope it goes his way. In management, you can tell how determined he is, how keen he is to make it a success, and how ready he is to put in the hard work. It'd be fascinating, wouldn't it, to follow his journey now in management?
Let's check in on Wimbledon. Lisa O'Sullivan, has the rain stopped? Are they back underway on court number 1?
Yeah, they are. It's kind of weird because it wasn't rain, but it was raining. It was like a kind of burst of mizzle that kind of went down and laid a little fine coating on the court, and the players felt it was a bit slippery. Barbora Krejcikova's had multiple injuries and has really only just got back to playing, so she didn't really want to take any risks. And Emma Navarro seemed to be a bit keener to get underway, the number 10 seed who put out Petra Kvitova earlier in the tournament. So they have now just resumed. But yeah, we're one game all in this match, and I think there's a way to go on this. But Navarro, I think, probably will be the favourite to come through. Yannick Sinner is doing the business under the roof on centre court because it's the first match of the day. They haven't opened the roof yet. It was a little bit damp earlier on. 6-1, 6-3, 2-love. He now leads Pedro Martinez of Spain.
And in the cricket, I know this England side don't like to draw games at Sam Ellard, but I feel like a bit of rain might not go amiss. How close do you think India are to declaring?
I have to say, Ollie, we're in a remarkable passage here. India 281 for 4, leading by 461. The previous partnership between Gill and Pan, they put 110 and they went a 6 and over, playing attacking cricket, trying to get the lead up as quickly as possible. Jadeja and Gill have been batting together for 14 overs. They've scored 45 runs at a run rate of 3 and over. Jadeja's faced 41 balls and has got 12 runs to his name. He's yet to hit a boundary. I'm really perplexed what on earth this game plan is by India. It feels like for the last hour the game just hasn't moved anywhere. Again, it's Jadeja's faced 41 balls. He came to the crease with the lead of over 400 runs and he's yet to hit a boundary in 41 balls. The game's not moving. I've got no idea what India are doing here. They're just taking time out of the game. And again, we've got 4 sessions after this. India have got to take 10 wickets to win this game. Gill's got 90, Jadeja's got 12. You didn't hear boos there, you heard root, because Joe Root is into the attack for England. Try and take him down, Jadeja. Move the game along. India 281 for 4, leading by 461.
Sam, can you just do that again for us?
Yeah, he's good at that.
It's very good.
Better than he is counting.
People always say to me, why are they booing? Why are they booing? They're not booing, they're rooting.
Yeah, rooting for Root. Very good. Sam Ellard, we'll check back in with you in just a moment. It does feel like India should be teeing off, really, given the lead they've already got and should be extending. A bit of transfer news very quickly. Nottingham Forest have confirmed the signing of Igor Jesus from Botafogo. It's rumoured to be a £10 million fee. It was really impressive for Botafogo, actually, during the Club World Cup. The 24-year-old striker has signed a 4-year deal, having just come back from that competition. He scored twice, and he's played 4 times for Brazil, scoring once. So £10 million feels like a pretty good deal for Igor Jesus from Botafogo for Nottingham Forest. In just a moment here, though, on Saturday's session, we are building up to the Lionesses. They're taking on France, and their opening game of the Euros will be live over in Switzerland in just a moment. This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT. Thanks for your company. Hey, having a great weekend. I'm Olly, Clink. I'm alongside Rory, Jennings. Now Oasis kicked off their long-awaited gigs in Cardiff last night. If you haven't seen the videos, by the way, it looked sensational, and we're giving you a chance to win a pair of tickets in Manchester on July the 19th. These are gold dust. You heard that right. Oasis Live 25 is sold out, but talkSPORT can get you in through the back door. The competition ends on Monday, though. That's not all as well. Alongside those tickets, we'll put you up for a night in a hotel. We'll put $5,000 in your back pocket, completely tax-free. Listen up right now for everything you need to know and how to enter.
All right, Arcade, you have to be over 18 to enter in the UK, excluding Northern Ireland, for the chance to win a pair of tickets to the most electrifying rock and roll reunion of the century, a hotel stay and $5,000 spending money. Text the word Oasis to 83338 by Monday the 7th of July at 11 p.m, and you'll be entered into the draw to go supersonic this summer. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or post your name and number to Oasis Prize Draw, PO Box 3190, Colchester, CO2 AGP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on the 10th of July. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. Good luck, yeah? Sorted.
Yeah, good luck with that. Later tonight, the Lionesses start their Euros campaign against France. Very, very exciting stuff. We will have it live on talkSPORT. Our reporter on the ground, Umar Gurav, has been out in Zurich chatting to fans ahead of the game.
And I can see you've got your England top on. How are you feeling about the game tonight?
I'm excited for it. A bit nervous, but it's my first ever major tournament. So I just feel so blessed to be here. I came out solo, met incredible individuals, and yeah, just feel really included.
Can you give me a match prediction?
A match prediction? I hope it's 3-0. Nice. Fingers crossed.
I like the optimism. Yeah. If you could give the Lionesses a message ahead of game, you can say it to the camera if you like. What would you say to them?
We're proud of you. No matter how far you get there, it's the journey, and we've all got you, and we're all supporting you.
Delighted to say that joining us now live from Zurich is talkSPORT reporter Umar Gurav. Umar, how are you getting on?
Oh my God, I'm having the absolute best day. We're about 5 hours from kickoff still, but as you can see, the party is well and truly underway here at Lionesses HQ. We've come down, we were at the fan park in central Zurich before. Now we've come down here. It is absolutely packed. I've come out here just to find some space to chat to you guys. You can see behind me, it's full of Lionesses fans. There's so many more inside. They're screening the game here. They're screening the Wales game here. And as you heard in the fan box there, I think everybody is so positive about heading into this game tonight. I know it's France. I know it's a tough opponent. But everybody here really believes the Lionesses are going to win this one.
Yeah, it feels like there's that air of confidence about it, doesn't it, Umar? Because, you know, let's be honest, they're heading into a very, very difficult group. And it is a tricky first game. But the Lionesses fans don't see it that way. We've had predictions of 3-0. We've had predictions of 3-1. They seem confident, don't they?
Do you know what it is, I think, Olly? You can analyse these things to death and you can say, oh, we've got such a tough group and things. France, the Netherlands, how are we going to do it? They're such tough teams to get by. But when you get here on the ground, and I think when you see all the other fans here, I spoke to Leah Williamson and Sarina Wiegman at the press conference yesterday, and they were talking about how they're just enjoying their time. They're watching Love Island still because Alessia Russo's brother is on it, of course. And I just think you see them and they look like they're in such good spirits. These are the defending champions. They want to keep that title. And I think now there's a real sense England, I think, have the most fans of any other nation than Switzerland out here. And I think there's a real belief that that's going to be the 12th man that I think really pushes England over the edge.
Umar, that's actually what I was going to ask you. In terms of the numbers of travelling support, do you have any idea in terms of where it ranks? Like how many have actually gone out there with the Lionesses?
I think it's definitely in the thousands. I heard somebody say there were about 3,000 out here. I think it's more than that. It feels like more than that. I know that the game is sold out. We've seen that. I think it's 22 out of the 31 games were sold out before the tournament, and the attendances have been amazing. At the Spain game, it was 30,000. So yeah, it's been really, really good.
And Umar, does it feel like we've totally outnumbered the French? Like from when you're walking around, does it feel like it's England dominated?
Absolutely. I don't know whether that's just because we've been here, but to be fair, when we were in Central earlier, I saw some France shirts dotted about, but definitely not as many England shirts as I've seen. I mean, we got here 2 days ago, and I've been seeing England fans since we got here on the ground. There was some on our flight. The atmosphere's been great. I think what happened in 2022, we saw how well they did, that journey to the final. The belief is there now, and I think that has been so instrumental in getting fans to come out here. Already they had such a dedicated group of fans, but I think seeing how well the Lionesses have done, I mean, it's only really been Spain in the last kind of few months who have proved to be stronger than the Lionesses. So there's a real belief that actually, yes, this is the team to beat other than Spain, I think, at this tournament.
Oh, brilliant. And great to hear that the England fans are out in force. Umar, we'll let you go and enjoy yourself. Thanks very much. Umar Gurav there. He's having a great time. And yeah, behind her you can see England flags. You can see fans with England cowboy hats on, everything. And everyone's getting very, very excited for all of that. Yeah, Umar out there in Zurich. And that game is tonight live on talkSPORT, the Women's Euros, France against England. Adrian Durham will be your host, and your commentary will come from Joe Shannon and the former England striker Tash Dowie. Let's quickly check in on the latest at Wimbledon with Lisa O'Sullivan.
I can tell you that the 2022 winner, Elena Rybakina, is out. She hadn't dropped a set getting to the third round, but Clara Tauson of Denmark, the number 23 seeds, just come through that 7-6, 6-3. On court number one, Barbora Krejcikova, the reigning champion, has the upper hand over Emma Navarro because I tipped the American to go a lot deeper. So Krejcikova is 3-1 up in the first set, but Yannick Sinner is in cruise control, 6-1, 6-3, 5-love in his match against Pedro Martinez of Spain.
Cheers, Lisa. Let's also get the latest from Edgbaston. It's England against India. England struggling away with the ball, but is that a wicket, Sam Ellard?
Not at the moment. India 299 for 4, that's the lead, or 479 runs. Ravi Jadeja has got 22 runs to his name. He's faced 52 deliveries and has only picked up 1 boundary. A remarkable innings. Shubman Gill at the other end, the India captain. His incredible series continues. Not out on 98. The 1 wicket to fall in the afternoon session. Rishabh Pant for 65. India 299 for 4, leading by 479 runs.
Thanks very much, Sam. Can bring you some news, by the way, involving your Chelsea, Rory.
Tell me.
They have announced the signing of winger Jamie Gittins for an initial $48.5 million from Dortmund. Chelsea will pay a further $3.5 million in add-ons. He signs on one of those whopping 7-year deals. Excited by it?
Yeah, I mean, it's one for the future, isn't it? The reason that we've signed Gittins, I think this actually taps in to the text message that we received from somebody who's listening, who basically said, why are Chelsea not competing for the league when we spent so much money? I think the signing of Gittins is a great example as to why we spend a lot of money but we're not competing for the league. Gittins isn't a player that's going to change Chelsea from contenders into serious title challengers. He has, however, cost a lot of money. He's a player for tomorrow. We're signing players with bags of potential whose value will hopefully increase. We aren't trying to build a team for the here and now.
Give us a text on 81089 if you're a Chelsea fan. You're excited by Gittins arriving at the club. Next up here, though, on the Saturday session, we're going to be speaking to our rugby correspondent, Alfie Reynolds, who's out in Australia after the Lions won earlier today on talkSPORT. Afternoon, this is the Saturday session on talkSPORT with me, Olly, Clink, alongside Rory, Jennings. Now, earlier on today, the British and Irish Lions managed to beat the Waratahs 21-10. I think you could describe the performance as all a bit scrappy. After the win earlier today, the coach Andy Farrell spoke in his post-match press conference saying he wasn't happy with the performance of his team.
It's nice to get a win, but I suppose at this stage we're trying to judge the performance, aren't we, a little bit more. So disappointed enough with the amount of possession and territory that we had, and how we dealt with certain situations. A different type of game, but are we glad that's happened to us? Yeah, we are, because there's some good learnings that we need to learn quickly in regards to that type of game.
Yeah, only 2 weeks until the first test. Let's bring in Alfie Reynolds, talkSPORT's rugby correspondent. How you doing, Alf?
Yeah, Ollie, very good. Thank you, mate. Very good. Good morning here from Sydney. We've just ticked past midnight following the Lions result. So, yeah, kind of an interesting one to reflect on, really.
Yeah, way past your bedtime. Thanks for staying up for us, Alfie. I'm actually quite intrigued by that press conference with Andy Farrell and how honest he was with how he thought the performance went. Do you feel it's a bit of a worry in terms of how the warm-up games have gone so far too for the Lions?
I don't think it's a worry just yet, Ollie. I agree. I think it was interesting that Farrell was a bit unhappy. One of the most interesting things, actually, from his press conference was that he kind of suggested that from an attacking point of view, they're almost not doing what the game plan is. They're trying to spread it wide too quickly. They're still forcing things a little bit, which is what we saw them do against Argentina in Dublin in the first match. And that's leading to more mistakes, and he wants them to be more direct. Personally, I don't think there's any need to panic yet. There were still good things about that Lions performance. I mean, the scrum has been excellent. The line-out was better. There are a few players, I think, that put their hand up for selection. So it's not all doom and gloom. But, yes, certainly I think tonight here in Sydney just highlighted some of the areas where, in terms of the game plan, they're just not quite getting it right at the moment.
Is the worry there the fact that Australia are coached by Joe Schmidt, and his speciality, we saw it when he was at Ireland, is to focus in on those errors and almost pounce on them? Should that be a bit of a worry for Andy Farrell and the Lions if there are, still areas to work on as they head up to those first tests?
I think so, yeah. Do you know what? The longer I spend in Australia, the more I think it's going to be a more competitive test series than many people expected, which in a sense is mad because we haven't even seen Australia play yet. They actually play tomorrow against Fiji. That's going to be their only game in preparation for the test series. But just from the point of view of Joe Schmidt, who's a great coach, is going to have had this team in camp for weeks and weeks, almost like a pre-World Cup camp, which is when coaches always say at an international level is when you can get your best work done. So I think the Wallabies will be as prepared as they can be for this series. There are questions over whether the Lions are quite going to have their game in a position where they would want it. And if there are chinks in that armour, then a Joe Schmidt-led team would be able to capitalise on those. So I do think it makes the test series potentially a lot more intriguing here.
Alfie, the Lions scrum half Alex Mitchell scored the all-important final try of the game. You spoke to him after the game about how much rugby he's played over the last 10 days.
Obviously, I think I played 4 games now in a short period of time, but they're really looking after me. I think with the lads who are playing a lot of minutes, you don't have to train as much, don't have to do as much fitness, which is a positive for me. But yeah, they're really looking after us, and I think my body's in a good shape.
Emotionally, has it been quite a strange time? Because obviously what happened to Thomas is terrible, and he was playing so well. But then for you, it also means that you get more game time, which personally would be a good thing. Has that been a kind of weird balance, I suppose?
Maybe a tiny bit, but obviously it's such a shame about Thomas. He was a quality player, and off the pitch he was my roomie for a bit, and we really got along really well. He was hilarious at times, so it's always tough to see, but it's what the coaches want. If that makes me got a bit more game time, it's one of them to deal with. Obviously love being out on the pitch and playing with these boys, so yeah, it's just one of them. With tours like this, it's going to happen, you just got to deal with it.
And ultimately, do you think that does give you more of a shot window, more of a chance to put yourself forward for the test team?
Yeah, possibly. Obviously it changes, it's a long tour. Chops and changes, different scenarios, different link-ups. So it's one of them you just got to train well, perform well, and hopefully get an opportunity in the test side. But yeah, one of them I keep my head down, try and look after my own game and see what happens from there.
From an attacking point of view, we're seeing you guys be quite ambitious at times. How would you sum up kind of how you're trying to attack and then also the execution of that?
Yeah, I think a mixture of all sorts. I think we don't want to be one-trick pony. We want to be physical, go through them and also stretch them on the edge and also go to that kicking game. I think if you look at the best sides in the world, they've got that versatility in there.
Interesting stuff there from Alex Mitchell, Alfie. But can I just ask you, you said that you weren't too worried by what we've seen so far, but by game 3 of this tour and 4, if you include the pre-tour game against Argentina, do you think that we should be seeing a more commanding performance from the Lions?
In some respects, Rory, yeah. I think it's always a thing on a Lions tour, though, particularly to Australia. When they tour New Zealand, it's different because all of those tour games are so competitive. They're playing against All Blacks every game. They're tested a lot more. It's always a problem when they come to Australia of how much they get tested. So in a sense, yeah, maybe you would want them to have their game in a slightly better position. I do think it's the nature of the beast a little bit here, and I think there are still plenty of positives there. There are building blocks in place, and also, with the greatest respect to Australia, they're not the All Blacks or they're not South Africa. So I feel fairly comfortable on where the Lions are. But there's just still questions there, and I think that's normal. I think the game against the Brumbies midweek is going to be massive because they're the best of the Australian Super Rugby teams. So I think in terms of the opponents they're coming up against, that's going to be their toughest test so far, we hope. And I think that'll be a good thing for the Lions to properly get tested ahead of facing Australia.
Alf, obviously a huge talking point has been the fact that Owen Farrell has been called up to the squad in place of Elliot Daly. So it's not a like-for-like replacement either. I mean, what do you make of it?
So, in all honesty, Ollie, I feel that on the one hand it's completely mad and makes no sense, but at the same time I can kind of see why Andy Farrell has done it. And what I mean by that is Owen Farrell hasn't played enough this year, he's had injuries, his form hasn't been good enough. You can't say that his selection is based upon form at the moment. But on the other hand, they've lost Elliot Daly, who's on his third Lions tour. It means that only Tyg Furlong and Mara Itoje are the players that have done a proper tour. There's other players that toured South Africa in 2021, but it was COVID, they were in the same stadium, there was no fans, they didn't get the proper Lions experience. Owen Farrell is coming out on his fourth tour, and he is the sort of player that can just take the game by the scruff of the neck. And actually, I think, and Andy Farrell kind of hinted at this in the press conference afterwards, the Lions were missing today someone to just take control of things. When it wasn't exactly going right in the heat of battle, someone that takes the game by the scruff of the neck, leads the team. And we will partly have that when Mara Itoje comes back into it and captains the team. We'll see him midweek. But that's what Owen Farrell will bring to this team. I get the reaction. I agree that I don't think he's there on merit. But I think if you really look at it, you can kind of rationalise and see what Andy Farrell is thinking there.
Another of the players you spoke to, Alfie, after the game was the flanker Ben Earl. He reflected on the team's performance in the win over a motivated opponent.
You can never take for granted winning on these tours because you've got to remember what the game not only means to us but means to the opposition as well. Like, they have this one circled in the calendar for 4 years. Puts their best foot forward, and look, we try to do the same, but these guys have been together for however long, and we're sort of still working our way through it. The exciting bit is what it could have been. Felt like we left 4, nearly 5 out there. But I mean, it's just exciting in terms of we've got another 2 weeks together in terms of before we even play a test match. So the players we've got in the room, the quality we've got in the room is exciting in terms of where that's going to take us.
You reference it there of kind of what the opposition are throwing at you. Do you really feel that kind of desire from their side because it comes along so rarely and the intensity that they're bringing to these games?
Yeah, and like it's proper test match standard. Like that breakdown competition today was as good as any competition of a breakdown I've had in a long time. I thought Waratahs were exceptional for a good chunk of that game and really made us work hard, and we'll have a good look at what we could have done better. But like you say, a win's a win. A tour like this should never turn down a win, so we're pleased in that regard. So in that sense, are you saying that how competitive it was on the floor? Are these games really good preparation in terms of preparing for the test series? 100%. Like if you look at the way that the Reds defended compared to how the Waratahs defended, that is literally two ends of the spectrum.
Alf, it's really interesting, isn't it, that he's talking about the standard and the levels, even though these are warm-up games that, in some respects, the Lions are expected to get over the line, just given the talent in their squad fairly comfortably. Do you expect when they play the Brumbies on Wednesday at 11 o'clock, it will be live on talkSPORT, that it will be a similar challenge?
I would expect so, yeah. It's always difficult for these games because not all of the Wallabies players are being released, so it's not going to be a full-strength Brumbies team in the same that this wasn't a full-strength New South Wales Waratahs team. But I do think it will be a tougher test for the Lions. It was the game they lost on this tour in 2013. The conditions were pretty difficult that night, as Andrew McKenna was talking about in our commentary on talkSPORT earlier on today. I think it will be a real test. It's interesting, the standard. Taniela Tupu, the Australian prop who was playing for the Waratahs here, has spoken about it in the mix zone as well, of saying it was proper test standard the whole way through. Ben Earl also said to me that the way in which the Waratahs attacked them on the floor was almost like test level. It was one of the toughest games he's had in that area of the game. So I think there are pockets in which the Lions are being properly tested. As we heard from Andy Farrell, he's kind of saying he's glad they're going through this. The question is whether they can keep building layers to their game. I think the reality actually is we will get to that first test, I would imagine, and not be 100% sure on where the Lions are. And I think that's actually quite a good thing for the series. I think it makes it really exciting. Unless the Lions have a kind of push your chest out statement win and performance against the Brumbies, which they might do, I think there's a real chance that we do go into that first test still with an element of unknown.
Alf, brilliant stuff as always. Get yourself to bed, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
It work out.
There we go. Alfie Reynolds out there in Sydney. Now let's head over to Wimbledon once again. What's the latest, Lisa O'Sullivan?
Top men's seed Yannick Sinner has played down his 6-1, 6-3, 6-1 win over Pedro Martinez, saying we didn't see the best of the Spaniard, who was struggling with a shoulder injury. Next up for the Italian will be the winner from Court 3, Grigor Dimitrov, currently fit and leading Austrian Sebastian Hoffner by a set. In the women's draw, I think you'll recall that I suggested Emma Navarro will be going a long way in this competition. Well, she's 5-2 down to Barbora Krejcikova, the current defending champion. I love to get these things right. And the winner of that will play Mira Andreeva, who was a straight sets winner earlier over Hailey Baptiste of the USA.
At least you're putting yourself out there, Lisa. That's all I will say. Let's check in on the cricket. England against India. How's it going, Sam Ellard?
Yeah, team day 4. India go to tea 304 for 4 with a lead of 484 runs. Just the 1 wicket in the afternoon session for England. It came early on in the session. Bashir getting Rishabh Pant trying to go big back over the bowler's head, picking out the fielder Ben Duckett out long off. Shubman Gill, the India Test match captain, has another 100 to his name. His remarkable series with the bat continues. His 100 came off 130 balls. Ravi Jadeja came to the crease at 6, faced 68 balls, only added 25 runs, hitting 1 boundary. So Gill and Jadeja have been together for 22 overs and have only added 68 runs at a run rate of 3 runs and over. Lots of people really intrigued as to why, when Pant got out and Jadeja came in, things seemed just to slow down. Both Gill and Jadeja weren't being anywhere near as aggressive. The lead then, 484 runs. Surely when India come back out in the evening session, they won't spend too much more time batting. Perhaps 8-10 overs, try and get the lead to 525 runs, around there, and then they've got 3 and a bit sessions to bowl England and try and get 10 wickets. Tea on day 4 at Edgbaston. India 304 for 4. Gill's got another 100. The lead is 484 runs.
England in a spot of bother there. Right, coming up next on the Saturday session, we're going to bring you some breaking news about a potential move from Noni Madueke to Arsenal. That comes next here on talkSPORT. very good afternoon. This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly, Clink. I'm alongside Rory, Jennings. In just a moment, we'll bring you some breaking news about Noni Madueke agreeing personal terms with Arsenal. Get Rory's thoughts on that. But first, this is a lovely story. Non-league club Seaford Town are raising money overnight. They're going to be walking 85 kilometres across Sussex from Chelsea to Seaford. It's going to take about 24 hours. I'm delighted to say joining us now is the Seaford Town manager, Paul Wise. Paul, how are you doing?
Yeah, very good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, really good, thank you. So tell us a bit about this. Why are you making this long walk?
Right, so we've sort of, as a club, supported Movember for quite a few years now. And we've actually had 3 players in the last 18 months that have all had some sort of cancer. All 3 have beat it, which is great. And all 3 have played for the club since. So we've been working with Movember now for quite a few years. And we want to try and raise as much money as we can to give a bit back.
Wow, that must have been something that shook the club hugely, and it's great to hear that actually they've come through that too. You're alongside Craig Pooley, who's the Seaford Town chairman. Tell us a bit about this route then, because you're going across Sussex and you're heading back. You're going to end up at Seaford, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting in Chelsea, which is 85 kilometres along the coast, and we're going to visit 7 different clubs along the way, along the route. And end up back at Seaford Town, hopefully 7 p.m. tomorrow.
Yeah, that's going to be tricky.
And you've partnered with Movember for this.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's something that we've followed for a while, and we've helped out for a while. Every November, we support Movember. We dedicate a match day to them. We help raise money. One of their ambassadors comes down and talks to everyone there and gives some feedback. And other than that, you know, we're really pleased to support them, and we want to show what we can do to do that and help raise awareness as well. More than anything, funds are great, but it's raising awareness and it's showing that support for men's health as a whole.
Yeah, and Paul, so it's an 85k walk. We just said there it's going to take about 24 hours. What is the plan? Are you going to be stopping off? Are you going to be sleeping at all? Are you heading all the way straight through?
Yeah, so as Craig said, we're going to stop off at 7 clubs that are all in our league on the way through, and they're going to sort of like come out, give us a drink and something to eat. We've got our chair lady Sarah and the club physio Charlie that are in our minibus that's going to be like the support vehicle if we need anything, which, you know, the bus is full of supplies. And then no sleep, we're just going to sort of keep going. So I think it's 19 hours walking time, but with the stops should be 4 hours.
That is an unbelievable effort, guys. Yeah, seriously, good luck with it all. How can people donate?
So we've got a Just Giving page. So it's Seaford Town Football Club, and it's Marching for Movember. So we've got a Just Giving page, loads of information on all of our social media, supporting Movember, lots of facts, what you can do to support, you know, if you need any support, how you can get that. And yeah, the Just Giving page, Marching for Movember, Seaford Town Football Club is where you can donate.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Well, good luck with it all. Amazing cause, and I hope it goes well. Hope you don't get too many blisters on the way.
Nice one. Cheers.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant work.
There we go. Paul Wise and Craig Pooley from Seaford Town. That is some effort. 19 hours walking time.
No, it's really impressive, and obviously it's a wonderful cause, but also it's a cause that's like quite personal to them at the football club.
Yeah.
So no, good luck to them.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Now I mentioned some of that transfer news there, Rory. This has developed since we've started the show today. Noni Madueke, we understand, has agreed personal terms with Arsenal. They're considering approaching Chelsea for him. I mean, Arsenal have said that they will enter some discussion with Chelsea, but there haven't been any talks yet. So this one seems like it's gathering a bit of pace. Do you think it's a bit strange that clubs, it seems at the moment, seem to agree personal terms before approaching Arsenal?
I do. We seem to hear this a lot now. Whereas, from my understanding of what tapping up used to mean, that would be an example of it.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's done the other way around now, and the rules around that have slightly changed. But from everything that we're hearing now, it looks like Madueke will be an Arsenal player. It feels like Madueke is going to leave Chelsea. He's going to go to Arsenal. He's going to be an option for Mikel Arteta. Quite what that means for Arsenal, if you explore what the signing means, you know, you try and understand. Arsenal have signed Noni Madueke. what is that going to do to them? What is it going to do to their title challenge? What is it going to do for the aspirations of the club? What options is it going to give to Mikel Arteta? And I think that the answer to basically every question that I've asked there,
Well, they're difficult to answer, aren't they?
Or they're not difficult to answer. They're very, very easy to answer, and they're quite hostile to Madueke if you answer them honestly and openly. Will Madueke elevate Arsenal's options up front? No. Does Madueke make Arsenal a better team? No. Does Madueke get into Arsenal's first 11 if things are going well for them? No. Does Noni Madueke leave a gaping hole at Chelsea? No. Does Noni Madueke's departure make Chelsea a better team? Quite possibly. So no, I don't think it's difficult to answer, really, Ollie. They're only difficult to answer if you're being kind or you enjoy sitting on a fence as you do.
Arsenal fans, give us a call 03717 22 33 You can give us a text as well on 81089. Let's check back in Wimbledon. How's it looking, Lisa O'Sullivan?
It's looking good for Grigor Dimitrov over on court number 3 at the moment. The Bulgarian, seeded 19, is taking on Sebastian Ofner of Austria. 6-3, 3-2 with a break in that second set. The winner will take on Yannick Sinner, a straightforward winner on centre court earlier today.
Lisa, thank you very much indeed. In just a moment here on talkSPORT, we'll bring you team news from a huge clash at the Club World Cup, which will be live later on talkSPORT with kickoff at 5 o'clock as PSG take on Bayern Munich.
Cricket balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know. Well, here's the tale. Tennis is widely known to be a French sport. It dates back to the 12th century when people used handmade balls, and it was then called tennis, which is the verb to hold in French. And people used some pretty wacky material to make the balls with: cork, wool, chalk, animal fur, and even human hair. A few centuries on, Germany got dead into the tennis too, but wanted to make a few modifications to the ball to make it a bit more effective. Around this time, an American chemist had just created something called vulcanized rubber. Out of that, people started developing air-filled rubber balls, which were properly bouncy, but either red or grey in colour. These were manufactured in Melton Mowbray. That's right, the home of the pork pie. One problem, the balls kept on breaking on impacts with the racket. The call of new balls please seemingly coming over every other point. Step forward English lawyer and tennis enthusiast John Moyer Heathcote, who suggested balls be covered in flannel to stop them from degrading. And thus the modern-day tennis ball was born. But these were white or black, so how did they become yellow? Well, in 1967, the controller of BBC Two, one Sir David Attenborough, decided the corporation should show Wimbledon on colour TV. He got his wish and it was wide into people's homes across the country. The only sticking point, the white balls were nearly impossible to see on the screen. So the International Tennis Federation, sensing an opportunity, started developing a new ball that would be visible even without the need for 4K LED displays. Not that anyone had that in the late 60s. After rigorous testing, they came
listening to the Saturday session with me, Olly, Clink. I'm alongside Chelsea fan Rory, Jennings. Earlier on talkSPORT, you heard the British and Irish Lions beat the Waratahs. They got over the line. It was 21-10 in the end. The next warm-up test will be live on talkSPORT 2 on Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock against the Brumbies. There's plenty of action going on at Wimbledon today. What's the latest? Lisa O'Sullivan.
Well, later on this afternoon, Novak Djokovic will look to become just the third man or woman to record 100 match wins at the All England club. But taking to centre court right now is Iga Świątek, the seeded number 8, former world number 1, against Danielle Collins of the USA.
In the cricket at Edgbaston, India lead England by 484 runs with 6 wickets remaining. We'll hear from Sam Ellard once they're back underway. At 5 o'clock exclusively on talkSPORT, it's PSG against Bayern Munich in the Club World Cup quarter-finals. At 5 o'clock on talkSPORT 2, it's Wales against the Netherlands at the Women's Euros. And at 9 o'clock, talkSPORT 2 will bring you exclusive commentary of Real Madrid against Borussia Dortmund. But our main focus throughout the show will be on England's opening game. We're not far away at the Women's Euros as they take on France at 8 o'clock live here on talkSPORT. This is the Saturday session. Now, huge game coming up here a bit later on. We're just under an hour away from kickoff as PSG take on Bayern Munich in the Club World Cup quarter-finals. Your match commentator is Alex Crook, and he has the teams.
Yeah, good afternoon, Olly. Paris Saint-Germain, recently crowned champions of Europe, unchanged from the side that beat Inter Miami, Lionel Messi and all, 4-0 in the round of 16. That means Ousmane Dembele once again only on the bench, so it's Donnarumma in goal for the Parisians. A back four of Hakimi, Marquinhos, Pacho and Nuno Mendes, João Neves, Vitinha and Fabian Ruiz in midfield, with Barcola and Kvaratskhelia either side of Desiree Doué in attack. As for Bayern Munich, 2 alterations from their round of 16 victory. Pavlovic and Musiala come in, out go Goretzka and Gnabry. Manuel Neuer is the goalkeeper. Lima, Upamecano, Tar and Stanisic the back four, with Kimmich and Pavlovic in midfield. Elise, Musiala and Kingsley Coman in behind England's Harry Kane up front. PSG may be the favourites with the bookmakers, but Bayern Munich have had the sign over the French side in recent meetings. This should be an absolute corker. Live on talkSPORT, underway at 5. It is PSG against Bayern Munich.
Cheers, Crookie. Dean Ashton will be alongside Alex Tripp. We'll hear from him very shortly. Also at 5 o'clock over on talkSPORT 2, there will be live Women's Euros action as Wales host the Netherlands. Cameron Pope will be on commentary duty, and he has the teams.
Well, the moment has arrived for Wales, their first game at a major finals, and Rhian Wilkinson's 11 contains one surprise. Esther Morgan of third-tier Sheffield United starts in what we think might be a back three. So the Wales team in full, Olivia Clark in goal. That back three, Esther Morgan, Gemma Evans, Rhiannon Roberts. Across midfield, Josie Green, Captain and Harry James, Hayley Ladd and Lily Woodham. And the front three, the emblematic Jess Fishlock, Kerry Holland and Hannah Kane. For the Dutch, Vivianne Miedema still skippers a team full of stars, even if traditional captain Sherida Spitzer starts on the bench. 4 of the starters won this competition 8 years ago under now England boss Serena Wiegman. Jill Roord and Victoria Palova are among 7 starters who played in the WSL last season. The opening game of Group D, live commentary from 4:45 on talkSPORT 2.
Cheers, Popey. You might have heard me say no milk there. I wasn't referencing the PSG team news. They haven't just signed a new player called Mitz, because I asked Rory Jennings for a coffee during the break and he just didn't listen to my order at all and came back with completely the wrong thing.
Your order?
Yeah.
Brunei. Since when do I bring you drinks? And then you have the audacity to complain about the drinks on air.
Yeah, you're so big time, aren't you? During team news.
You are. You are. Not only are you sending me out there like I am your work experience kid, but then you complain about the lack of dairy product in the drink.
Yeah, you look the age of a work experience kid, to be fair. We are joined, though, right now in the studio by talkSPORT's transfer correspondent, Anil Kandola. Some interesting stories going around today. Anil, I've got to be honest, I mean, we talked a bit about your ginger highlights in your hair.
It's unbelievable.
He's a very suave man. I found out from producer Olly that before Anil came into the studio, he had a little spray of his aftershave as well.
No, he's a very dapper man. None of this surprises me.
Smile good, feel good, and hopefully perform good as well.
He's improved the smell of the studio. We've been in here for 3 hours.
one day Anil will live in Monte Carlo. Don't you think?
Yeah.
He's a man who should forever have a pastel-coloured jumper jauntily tied around his shoulders.
This is what we're here for.
So
this
true.
Is what we're here for.
And then what have you got for us then?
Yeah, do you know what, Ollie? I was speaking to producer Ollie about half an hour ago, and we were saying, look, it looks pretty relaxed in terms of transfers and deals within the space of 30 minutes. I think this just highlights just how crazy the transfer window can be. Of course, I know you boys have touched on a lot of stuff already in terms of Madueke, but I just wanted to talk. I know we briefly touched on it yesterday during the Transfer Insiders, but a story about Gabriel Martinelli attracting interest from Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia. Now, there is a potential consideration, at least from the Saudi Arabian club, to put in a whopping £73 million bid. And just to put that into perspective, Arsenal's highest ever sale was Oxlade-Chamberlain at 35 million, which is just bonkers. So this would smash and then some their transfer record. But what I really wanted to talk to you boys about, which I know we didn't quite get a chance yesterday to do so, is where that money could potentially go. Now, of course, we know and we understand that the wingers are amongst the positions that Mikel Arteta is looking to strengthen in. But 2 names that we're hearing here at talkSPORT that they are interested in is, of course, Rodrigo, which I think a lot of people have heard of, and also one of your boys, Ollie, Anthony Gordon, apparently is on the list for Arsenal in terms of them positions. So, in terms of Anthony Gordon, in terms of Madueke, Arsenal need a striker. So, and I understand football is all about optics. If they were to get a Gyökeres in and then a Rodrigo and then they went for Madueke, we'd be potentially being a little bit more positive. But surely they're prioritising the wrong positions.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, Anil. I mean, right now, and you say, where's that money going to go? Isn't the fee looking like 40 million or so for Noni Madueke? Yeah. So you're already going to drop a lot of it on a player that, I mean, I don't know about you, Rory, I don't think necessarily improves I mean, it is Madueke. I know you could argue that Madueke can play left wing, but he's more of a right winger. So are they even upgrading if they sell Martinelli and get Madueke?
None of this makes sense. I think we have to give Arsenal a lot of credit for what they've done over the past 3 or 4 years. I think that Mikel Arteta has gone in there and he's changed them from a joke at various points prior to Mikel Arteta coming in. They were a punchline. They were a comedy act. They are now a serious football club. They've beaten Real Madrid home and away. They need to be taken seriously. They are capable of winning the league. They are capable of winning the Champions League. And that is due to the contribution of Mikel Arteta. But this is bonkers. What we're hearing at the moment, to allow Gabriel Martinelli to leave, you could just about make that make sense if that money is used to fund the signing of Rodrigo. That would elevate the club. If that money was used to fund the signing of Gyökeres, that would elevate the club. It would elevate the feeling around the club. This is ridiculous.
Do you think they should cash in on Martinelli, though, regardless?
Not only if you can guarantee where the money's going. because Gabriel Martinelli leaving is an option that Mikel Arteta likes to use. Gabriel Martinelli is in Arsenal's best first 11. So if you allow him to leave, you can just about get away with doing that if you bring in somebody who is obviously better than him. There is absolutely no way that you can allow Martinelli to leave and bring in Madueke, particularly when, earlier in this show, Anil, I don't know if you heard, but we were discussing the potential that Arsenal may lose Nwaneri.
Yes.
You lose Nwaneri, you lose Martinelli, bring in Madueke. I'm afraid you're going back down the road of a joke.
Yeah, you took me nicely on there in terms of Ethan Nwaneri. Chelsea have been a team who have been asked to keep updated, shall we say. They're showing interest in this situation. This is, what I'm hearing anyway, a separate situation from any deal potentially with Madueke. But in regards to Chelsea, Rory, of course, there's been a lot of discussion, and rightly so, in terms of all of the money they're spending and all of the players they're bringing in on long-term contracts. But are we about to see a new era, not just with Chelsea, but within football, that one of the big clubs around the world, really, you know, they're at the Club World Cup, so that warrants them to be in that category. But in terms of signing players and not necessarily having the idea that we're going to keep this player for the next 5 or 6 years and then blossom with that individual within the squad, are we looking at now even top clubs looking at a way of becoming selling clubs as well? In terms of Madueke and Nwaneri and that kind of thing.
In the era of PSR, I think at most clubs everyone is for sale. There are some examples where that isn't the case. Mohamed Salah would be an example. Virgil van Dijk would be an example. But I would say everyone else, in the way that FSG view football, everyone else at Liverpool, if the right deal came in, would be for sale. Chelsea, again, with the exception of Cole Palmer, with the exception of Moises Caicedo, again, everybody would be for sale. But what you can't do, you can justify getting rid of players that are in your first team, so long as you improve upon them.
Yeah.
What you cannot do is allow player Martinelli to leave and not replace them adequately. And then worse, you know the grounding that goes into nurturing the talent of an Ethan Nwaneri. Like, Ethan Nwaneri had a great season for Arsenal last year. What he scored? 9, 10 goals?
Yeah, 9.
He was 17 at that point. Do you remember? He was changing in his own dressing room because he wasn't even old enough to be he scored 9 goals for them. What you can't do is develop a player to develop them, nurture them, get them to that level, and then say to someone else, for example Chelsea, go, tell you what, you reap the benefits of this player.
Yeah, with Nwaneri himself, though, in terms of his options, is Chelsea the right place to go? When you consider the fact who they got, I mean, they've brought in Gittins, they've brought in João Pedro, they've got Esteval, who scored against them last night, and that is scraping the surface in terms of what they've got in terms of young forwards. Would it be the right move for Nwaneri? Because it could even be even trickier to get into the Chelsea team than it would the Arsenal team at the moment, especially if they're going to sell someone like Martinelli.
I feel like Nwaneri, given his talent, like, he's a prodigious young player. Like, I'm not saying that it's like this, okay? So when I'm the parallel that I'm going to draw on, I'm not saying that he's anywhere near as good, but Nwaneri sort of burst onto the scene in the way that, like, young prodigious footballers have done in the past. Michael Owen, Wayne Rooney, like, that's the kind of impact that Nwaneri had. 17 years old, scoring goals for, at various points, the best team in the country. Like, it was impressive. So I think that Nwaneri, at 18 years old now, would look at Chelsea, and although you're saying, does he definitely get in the first team? I don't think it would be an insurmountable task for Nwaneri to force his way into the Chelsea first 11.
But what's been the point then in dropping 60 million on João Pedro? What's been the point in spending 55 million on Jamie Gittins, other than, like Anil says, you know, eventually moving them on? I find Chelsea's transfer policy just almost as baffling as I'm finding Arsenal's at the moment. What can you tell us about that Gittins deal, by the way, Anil?
Yeah. In regards to obviously what we've been saying with Chelsea, they look at this player as not just someone who could potentially make an impact in the season to come, but in the following seasons as well. And like I said, it's a very difficult one to really put your finger on Chelsea's interest, really, in terms of bringing these players in. Is it to nurture them and allow them to eventually, once Cole Palmer really hits the prime years of his career, to allow a team who are a little bit older, a little bit more experienced, and a little bit more used to playing with someone like him? Because of course he is at the epicenter of everything in terms of Chelsea going forward in the next few years. So yes, I'm not necessarily sure that he is going to be someone who's going to go right first team straight away. He will have to prove himself. but Chelsea are very excited about this deal. He's been someone on the radar for quite some time. So another exciting player through Chelsea's doors. Let's just hope that he gets the game time and hopefully he can make an impact for the Blues.
And wonderful stuff as always. And it does smell nicer in here now.
Yeah. So
what are you wearing?
Well, I can't tell you that, can I? There's some secrets and some sources.
You know what it's like? You know when we talk about transfer signings and a player goes into a club and they just elevate everything. Everything changes. Cantona goes into that Manchester United dressing room. Everything changes. The tide rises. That's what happens when Anil Candola walks into this room.
Let me just put my collars on.
There we go. Yeah, he's just scored against Sunderland in front of the Stretford end.
The thing is, you used that analogy and he was there going, yeah.
I just compared him to Cantona. Yeah. That's exactly what Cantona would have done. Yeah. Absolutely love it.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Anil, thank you very much indeed, talkSPORT's transfer correspondent. Right, what is the latest at Wimbledon? Let's check in with Lisa O'Sullivan.
Iga Świątek is underway against Danielle Collins. Just the early exchanges in that one. Collins holding serve in the first game of the match. The winner will be taking on Denmark's Clara Thorsen, who's stringing together a run here, having not won a match at Wimbledon in 3 previous visits. She's dumped out the 2022 women's champion Elena Rybakina in straight sets. Earlier, the men's top seed Yannick Sinner played down his straight sets win over Pedro Martinez, who was struggling with a shoulder injury, and he's going to take on the winner from court number 3, where Grigor Dimitrov has just taken a 2-0 lead over Sebastian Offner of Austria.
Lisa, thanks very much indeed. We are surely now near a declaration for India at Edgbaston taking on England. Surely we are, Sam Ellard.
Yeah, the lead is 520. The score's 340 for 4. I would say now, every ball that's bowled, every over that gets completed, every minute that goes by, India are now just taking time out of the game for themselves. England and Bazball, we know they're capable of crazy things. They're not chasing down 520. And the thing is, we're late into day 4. This is still a really, really good pitch to battle. So it's not like the pitch is breaking up and 10 wickets will be easy to come by. It's not going to be easy at all to take 10 wickets in now under 4 sessions. So 340 for 4 is the score. Jadeja's got 35, Gill's got 126, the league's 520, and Olly, I completely agree with you now. I think India are just simply wasting time. Declare, then they've got just short of 4 sessions to try and take these final 10 wickets. One thing I should say is the intent off the tee has been much more aggressive from India. Already seen a couple of 6s, so that would indicate, Olly, the declaration might not be too far away.
Yes, a stonking lead now. Maybe India still slightly spooked by that huge run chase that England made. Sam, thanks very much indeed. What aftershave do you wear, by the way, Raw?
I don't wear it.
Yeah, you can tell, mate.
Bit of brute here and there, bit of brute under the arms. But
bit of brute for a special occasion.
I don't like it.
Right.
No.
You should. I'd recommend
it. I need some, yeah.
Great stuff. This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly Clink, alongside the stinky Rory Jennings. In just a moment, we're going to be chatting a bit of F1. coffee wasn't great, mate.
You've got some front, Clink.
It wasn't great, mate. It's not what I asked for, though, is it?
You've got some front. Honestly, you really do. This is poor from you.
Why?
You know when we talk about like certain footballers having some front, when we were talking about sort of Dominic Calvert-Lewin expecting a European club, or Marcus Rashford expecting Barcelona, and we're like, they got some front. You send me to the coffee machine.
Yeah.
I kindly make you a coffee. And when I get back, you start making demands like you're the Sultan of Brunei, telling me that it's not good enough and I should have put more milk in.
You should have, mate. You didn't listen to anything.
You will never, ever get a coffee from me again. And I bought you breakfast.
Oh, yeah, you did.
And I bought you breakfast.
You did, actually. That was good, wasn't it? We had a little fry-up before the show.
Fry-up in Borough Market.
It's a 4-hour show. We had to get
it was a great fry-up.
It was good.
Terrible company for me, but it was good. It's a good meal.
Oh, this is the Saturday session with me, the ungrateful Olly Clink, alongside Rory Jennings. Don't forget, tonight the Lionesses get their Women's Euros underway. They're playing France. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff. It will be live on talkSPORT. It's also the British Grand Prix this weekend. It's taking place at Silverstone tomorrow. I'm delighted to say that Josh Suttle, the race's F1 editor, joins us now. Hi, Josh.
Hi guys, how are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Just take us through what's happened in qualifying today. Verstappen, I think, taking pole.
Yeah, it was sort of out of nowhere, really. All the talk coming into the weekend was about the British drivers. You know, Lando Norris having done such a good job last time out. He dominated the last race in Austria, came here with high expectations. Lewis Hamilton came here with big expectations, was really quick through practice. But then, as so often happens in F1, Verstappen has come out of nowhere, really, swooped in at the end, a really fast lap. Other drivers making mistakes, and Max Verstappen is the driver on pole.
McLaren were the team to beat last time out in Austria, weren't they? How do you see Lando Norris going this time round?
Yeah, a lot of pressure. Obviously, home race. I mean, there's a whole grandstand just dedicated to him this time. So, yeah, loads of support, lots of PR, media commitments that he's out to cope with throughout the weekend. Obviously, drivers will always say they don't mind doing them, but I think when it's kind of to the point where how many he's out to deal with, it can be quite a lot. But it's still a big chance for him. He was slower than his teammate Piastri in qualifying by a small margin. Once again, we saw little mistakes creeping in those crucial moments in qualifying. But he's third on the grid. He's still got a good chance to win the race tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, talking of people who are on their home turf, Lewis Hamilton won it last year, and he's actually won 3 out of the last 5 at Silverstone. But he's without a win so far this season. How do you think he'll get on tomorrow?
I think actually quite hopeful for Lewis. I mean, he hasn't been off the podium here since I think 2013 was the last time, and that's when his tyre exploded. So you can't really blame him for that one. But he's actually he's been quick all weekend. Was ahead of Leclerc and his teammate in qualifying. Like you say, had a really miserable year, hasn't he? It's not quite been the dream Ferrari move he hoped for. He won a sprint race, not really a proper race. Proper race tomorrow, but actually. You know what? I think even though he's 5th on the grid, I think he could win. The race pace of that Ferrari has always been better than the qualifying pace. And the home crowd, Nigel Mansell used to say it was worth, I think, 3/4 of a second a lap. I don't think it's quite worth that. But even if it's worth a little bit, then it could help Lewis tomorrow for sure.
Can I ask you, Josh, how important do you think the British Grand Prix at Silverstone is in terms of the great British sporting events?
I like to think it's important. I'm very biased, obviously. I love Formula One. I know it's not for everyone. I know a lot more people are loving it recently after the Netflix series, after the movie. It's got a lot of people into the sport. So actually, I think this one's quite important because if you've gone out to the cinema and seen the F1 film and think, okay, this is great, this is really exciting, lots is happening, I hope people tune in that they're going to get an exciting race on Sunday and it kind of matches those expectations. It's never really going to be kind of Hollywood. But if there can be a good race tomorrow, then I think it can hopefully convert a lot of people and stick them around. I mean, I've been watching a lot of Wimbledon and other major sporting events this summer, and I like to think the British Grand Prix is right up there, and hopefully it will be proved right tomorrow.
And it's the 75th anniversary as well, isn't it, of the circuit? Do you know of any kind of plans they have to celebrate that?
Yeah, so very first race here, 75 years ago, 1950, at this very same circuit. Lots of changes since then. They've got all sorts of stuff they're doing. I think they're going to have another go with the Lego cars. I don't know if you guys saw, but they had a kind of a race in Lego cars earlier in the year. So there's going to be brilliant. more stuff to do that. Actually, in fact, the trophies are going to be made out of Lego this time. So I don't quite know what that's got to do with 75 years, because I don't know how old Lego is, but it is quite a cool thing. And there's going to be a lot of historic cars, a lot of historic drivers, which is maybe a politer way of saying retired drivers, are going to be here as well. So there's going to be lots of pomp and ceremony, and I guess rightly so, given it's such a big anniversary.
Oh, it's sure to be fantastic. Josh, thank you very much indeed.
No, thank you very much.
There we go, Josh Suter, the Race's F1 editor. Do you know who's really into their Lego from the talkSPORT family?
No.
Darren Ambrose.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, loves it. He's got like a Lego wall in his hat, like puts all his models up there and stuff. Do you reckon he made the trophies?
Perhaps. You got any? Do you buzz off Lego?
No.
No.
No. Do you?
No, I'm an adult.
Do you know what? Yeah, but Darren said to me, he was like, I had kids, and I obviously wasn't into it at all. And then he just found himself. I think
find it very
one of his little boys was just like, "Oh, can we get some Lego?" And he just found himself suddenly being the one buying the Lego for himself.
No, my kid likes it.
Yeah,
my kid likes it, but I would expect her to grow out of that by the time she's about 8.
There we go. Instructions from Dad. Let's head over to Wimbledon. What's the latest, Lisa?
Well, here on Centre Court, we're in the early stages, but Iga Świątek does have a break of serve against Danielle Collins, is leading 2-1. Emma Navarro is coming back against Barbora Krejcikova. Krejcikova taking that first set 6-2. I thought that Navarro put the ball out on cue there, but she actually does have set point against last year's champion. 5-3, the American leads in the second set. A quick look at the other matches. Marin Cilic, who put Jack Draper out, is 2-love up against Jaume Munar. One of the stats from that match, the numbers they have to calculate how great a shot is. Marin Cilic's forehand was rated in the second set, and bearing in mind the marks were out of 10, in the second set his forehand was rated 9.8. An incredible performance by the Croatian, who's leading Jaume Munar of Spain 2-0 in the first set.
You always knew Navarro would come through, Lisa. You got to back yourself in these situations, of course. Sam Hallard is watching the cricket. England against India. How's it going, Sam?
India continue to bat and bat and bat, and you come to me as Ravi Jadeja cuts Shoaib Bashir away through the offside to move to 50. It's his 24th Test 50. He gets there from 93 balls. Shubman Gill, the other end, the captain, has another 3-figure score to his name. He's not out at 130. India 358 for 4. That's for the lead of 538 runs. And really now we are just playing the waiting game. When are India going to declare? Surely they've got more than enough runs on the board. We know England do some crazy things under Bazball. They chased down 371 in that first Test match, but chasing down something close to 550 will surely be out of their reach. Deja has another 4, so the score now moves on to 366 for 4, and the lead is 546 runs.
Sam, thanks very much indeed. In just a moment, I'm going to send Rory to make me another coffee because the first was so woeful. And we'll be heading to Zurich to speak to Adrian Durham ahead of France against England at the Women's Euros. afternoon. This is the Saturday session here on talkSPORT with me, Olly, Clink, the man bobbing along to this song alongside me. Is Rory Jennings. It's a good song, isn't it?
Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Sort of deep house, funky vibe to it.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
You're up for the weekend with this one, aren't you? And you're up for the Women's Euros as well. At 5 o'clock over on talkSPORT 2, there will be live Women's Euros action as Wales host the Netherlands. Cameron Pope will be on commentary duty alongside Leanne Skinner, and Cameron can remind us of the teams.
Well, the moment is here, Wales' first game at a major finals, and there is one surprise in the starting 11. Esther Morgan of 30 Sheffield United comes in to join more experienced faces such as captain Harry James and iconic midfielder Jess Fishlock. Now, we're expecting Wales to play with 3 centre-backs. We might be kept guessing until 5 o'clock. Leanne Skinner, the West Ham boss and former Wales assistant, is alongside me on commentary. Leanne, what do we make of the team news?
Well, I think obviously before we came into this today, we were a bit unsure as to whether they'd play in a back 4 or a back 5 Wales, because Rhian Wilkinson has done both over the course of these games leading into this tournament. But obviously it's a fantastic opportunity for these players. I think that at the moment it's just an interesting decision as to whether Jess Fishlock is a little bit more on the left. Esther Morgan at right wing back, we think, is probably what it's going to look like. But look, I mean, I think this team is the most experienced that Wales have available to them without Sophie Ingle right now, who we're not sure how much part she'll play coming back from that ACL injury, but hopefully we'll see her as well.
Well, as for first games, they can hardly come tougher than the side who won this tournament 8 years ago. And for the Dutch, Vivianne Miedema captains a team full of big names in the women's game. She's got the likes of Arsenal's Victoria Pelova and former Manchester City player Jill Roord for company in attack. Rianne, how can Wales try and contain this Netherlands team, or do they have to come out and play?
Well, I think the first thing, obviously, so much excitement around it for Wales. You know, they will have nerves, I'm sure of that, but the fan support will be tremendous. And, you know, I think that'll give them a massive boost at the start of it. And really, they don't have anything to be nervous about. They've got to use that energy to help to sort of guide them to play the way they want to play. I think if they stay in the first 20 minutes of the game, keep things really tight, assess what the Netherlands team are going to be doing, and obviously they can look to hit on the counter just whilst they ease their way in. Pace of the likes of Hannah Kane is fantastic, so there's definitely options for Wales.
Well, it all came about from that magical moment in the playoff qualification final in Dublin back in December, but they're up against a side who've lost just 3 of their last 22 games at a major tournament. England and France also awaiting Group D, which has been called the Group of Death. The opening game from that group, live commentary of it from 4:45 on talkSPORT 2.
Cameron, Rianne, thank you very much indeed. Like Cameron says, 5 o'clock kickoff. You can listen to that game, Wales against the Netherlands, on talkSPORT 2. Huge night for Wales. It is also, though, a huge night for the Lionesses. They also get their campaign underway. They're taking on France. I am delighted to say that we're joined now by your host for tonight's match, Adrian Durham, who is in the stadium. Adrian, how are you getting on?
Just fine. A little bit nervous, actually. Avoiding the sun, staying in the shade, but getting very nervous about this game. And you've been talking about the music you've been playing, which is absolutely fantastic. You should come to Zurich because this city hosts what's called the Street Parade, the largest techno party in the world.
That's right up your street, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a bit of me when I sing. Yeah.
Adrian, with regard to this,
it's techno in the 80s, because that'll be me.
Yeah, absolutely. Adrian, with regard to this fixture, like, I know how into this tournament you are. I know how fully focused you are on it and how desperate you are to see England win. Realistically, though, if you remove any sort of tribalism and hope, if you just look at it through the lens of a genuine approach to are England capable of doing it, do you think there is a world where England can somehow be champions again?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is a world where they can be. If you ask me the question, will they be European champions again, and I had to give an answer, I would probably say no, because Spain are so good, and that can't be ignored. So, but the reality is we have beaten Spain. In the last couple of years, we beat them 1-0 at home. Lost there last month. I was in Barcelona for that game. We lost 2-1. We were 1-0 up at half-time. Put on a decent first-half display, actually. So we're competitive against Spain, but ultimately, you've got to think that they are the best team in the world. I think, depending on how the route goes, and a lot will depend on whether English finish top or second in the group of death, they could well get themselves to the final where they
they might meet Spain, and that's going to be a very difficult one. If they actually win the group, they probably meet Spain before the final. So it's a bit of a weird one. We might finish second and be better off. But yes, they can win the Euros again, but will they do it? I'm not totally convinced, because their results since the World Cup have been quite streaky, to be honest with you.
Adrian, in terms of tonight, it feels like the big story in terms of team news is Lauren James, who was brought to the tournament. She did feature in that final warm-up game against Jamaica too, but we spoke to Tash Dowie, who's going to be joining you a bit later on the commentary team, and she actually said she wouldn't start Lauren James for this game tonight. How do you see it? Do you actually think maybe start James, see her play, I don't know, 50, 60 minutes and see if she can make an impact from the off, or do you think bring her on from the bench?
What she said, what Tash said, because, and actually I was starting to think Lauren James was so good when she came on against Jamaica. Just have a player come on her and just watch every single touch, every movement she makes. She's such a good footballer. Injury though, would it mean that she can't play the full 90 minutes? And as you say there, yeah, play 60 minutes, but would you rather bring her on for an impact if you need her to come on? I think that's the latter is the better idea. And when you've got players like, listen, Ella Toone playing as a 10 and as attacking midfielder, scoring goals, she's such a good footballer as well. One of the most mind-blowing decisions of the season in any league, whether men's or women's football, was Man United getting to a cup final and their manager deciding Ella Toone should be on the bench at Wembley. Absolutely ludicrous. Any wonder Man United lost the cup final. And her face was like thunder. I'd be surprised if she's at United next season. So she's fired up for it. And with Ella Toone as well, we've got to remember it's her first tournament since her dad Nick passed away, and he was such a huge influence on her and her career and her life in general, and you know, there's a lot of love. And she's recently said that, you know, he's got the best seat in the house for this game, and it actually gets me a bit choked up when I think about it. So if I'm managing Ella Toone, I'm thinking, yeah, Ella Toone needs to be starting this game, otherwise she's going to have a face like thunder on the bench, and that's no good for anybody.
Adrian, I may be trying to adopt a glass half full approach here and trying to find the positive, but England are in the group of death. There's no doubt about that. You know, playing France is about as tricky a start as we could possibly have got. Is there some world, some paradigm where that is a positive? We need to be fully focused early on. At some point, you're going to have to play the best, so you may as well do it early. Can it be seen as being a good thing on some level?
Yeah, it seemed to take forever to get into the World Cup, and we never really got going at the World Cup. And I know they made the final, but it was never convincing from the Lionesses. At the Euros before, there was the nervous game against Austria at Old Trafford that they won 1-0, and then after that they really got going, battering Norway and battering Northern Ireland as well, and making their way to the final and winning it. I think what you say is absolutely spot on, Rory, that, yeah, France are tough. We've gone there. We went to St Etienne and beat them around about this time last year. Hannah Hampton was sensational in goal, pulled off a great save to preserve a 2-1 lead. We lost to them a few days before that at Newcastle, but actually I thought we played well in that game and probably didn't deserve to lose. There's also there's been the story around, as much as England have had players pulling out, France have left some star players out as well, and it's how that team copes without those players. However, we were at the press conference yesterday, and I've got to say they surprised me, the French, because they look like a very comfortable, relaxed, very happy, all-together unit. Press and media together, manager and players together. Sorry, manager and media together, press and players together, manager and players seemingly together, and all very calm and comfortable. So that worried me slightly from England's point of view about this game. But I'd take a draw here and then winning the other two games and going through.
Adrian, thanks very much indeed. I'm sure you'll be sampling the techno a bit later if England do get over the line against France. Adrian Durham there, he will be your host a bit later on talkSPORT. Ahead of that game, France against England, kick-off at 8 o'clock. It is live on talkSPORT. Your commentary will come from Joe Shannon and the former England striker Tash Dowie. And also, after the full-time whistle, there will be a phone-in show with the former Lioness Jordan Nobbs and Premier League legend Darren Bent, and they will have all of the live reaction too from the players and the manager, who'll be speaking to Courtney Sweetman-Kirk after the game. By the way, a bit of news for you, brought to you last night on the Transfer Insiders, Rory and I, that Brighton were in talks with Club Brugge over Belgium international left-back Maxime de Kuiper. They have now confirmed the signing. So he will be joining He'll be joining Brighton this summer. Anyway, in just a moment here on talkSPORT, there is a huge game on the way in the Club World Cup. It is the quarter-finals. It is PSG, the European champions, taking on Bayern Munich. We'll have all of the build-up to kick-off next.
Over the...
The bravado round. Each question in this round is worth 3 points, and I'll ask the contestants a question. They will bid for how many correct answers they think they can give me. Whoever believes they can give me the most will have 90 seconds to name them. But crucially, if they fail to reach their number or give an incorrect answer, the opposition can steal the points by simply naming one correct answer. How many clubs can you name beginning with B in the top 4 divisions of English football? There are 15 clubs beginning with B from the Premier League down to League 2. How many can you name? You've now got 20 seconds to have a chat or write it down with your partner before we start the bidding. How many clubs can you name beginning with B in the top 4 divisions of the English football? There are 15 clubs beginning with B from the Premier League down to the League 2. How many can you name? 10 seconds. Clubs beginning with B. Give us a B. And on from there. Okay, 3 seconds. Okay, Ipswich, I'm coming to you first. How many teams with B do you think you can name?
We can name 6.
6. Wolves, do you think you can go any higher than 6?
We can name 10.
You think you can name 10? They've gone higher. They've gone 1 up. They've gone 10. Do you want to go any higher than 10, Ipswich? Or do you want to,
go on.
You want to name them?
Yeah. Name them, please.
Okay, Wolves, they're asking you to name them. Can you please name me 10 teams beginning with B in the top 4 divisions of English football?
Birmingham City.
Birmingham City, 1.
Burnley.
Burnley, 2.
Barnsley.
Barnsley, 3.
Bristol City.
Bristol City, 4.
Bradford.
Bradford, 5.
Blackpool.
Blackpool, 6.
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, 7.
Brentford.
Brentford, 8.
Brighton.
Brighton, 9.
Bristol Rovers.
Bristol Rovers, 10. How many did they get right? Angelina? Of course they did. All over it. Absolutely all over it. Fantastic. Very good, wasn't it? Angelina, they got 10 right. What did they miss out?
So you could have had Barrow, Blackburn, Bolton, Bromley and Burton Albion.
England's men's team have had 16 full-time managers in their history, with the first one being appointed in 1946. How many of them do you think that you can name? I need first and last name. You can now have 20 seconds to chat with your partner before we start the bidding. England men's team managers. 16, but how many can you name? Okay, time's up. Spurs will come to you first. How many England men's team managers do you think you can name?
I've got 8.
You're going to say 8 of the 16, 50%. Birmingham City?
We'll go one more. We'll say 9.
We'll say 9. You can do 9. Spurs, do you think you can do more than 9?
I don't reckon we can. I reckon play it safe.
Or do you want to make Birmingham City name?
I think I will stick with 8.
Stick with 8. Okay, they're going to make you name 9 England men's team managers. Off we go.
Gareth Southgate.
1. Gareth Southgate.
Roy Hodgson.
2. Roy Hodgson.
Sven-Goran Eriksson.
3. Sven-Goran Eriksson.
Steve McLaren.
4. Steve McLaren.
Glenn Hoddle.
5. Glenn Hoddle.
Howard Wilkinson. Does that count?
6. Howard Wilkinson.
Fabio Capello.
7. Fabio Capello.
Alf Ramsey.
8. Alf Ramsey.
Walter Winterbottom.
9. Walter Winterbottom. They're your 9 answers. Let's find out how many you got right.
8.
You got 8. 8 of the 9 required. So you need to name 1 England manager that they haven't said, and you will steal the points.
El Tel, Terry Venables.
El Tel, Terry Venables. Is he on the list, Angelina?
It is.
It is on the list. You steal the points. Well done, Spurs.
Some of the names that you missed: Bobby Robson, Don Revie. We have Graham Taylor, Kevin Keegan, Ron Greenwood, Sam Allardyce.
Sam Allardyce.
And, of course, the current manager, Thomas Tuchel.
How many English league clubs can you name that begin with the letter S? This season, 24-25, there are 11 clubs in the top 4 divisions that begin with the letter S. But how many can you name? You now have 20 seconds to chat with your partner before we start the bidding.
How many were there, sorry?
There are currently 11 clubs in the top 4 divisions that begin with the letter S, but how many can you name? OK, there's your 20 seconds. Time's up. West Ham, I'm going to come to you first.
9.
How many do you think you can name?
6.
You think you can name 6? Norwich City, any higher?
10.
You think you can name 10? West Ham?
Go for it.
Going to make them do it?
Yeah, we're going to make them do it.
OK, you now have 90 seconds to name them. And once you give me an answer, wait for me to repeat it and give the number that you're up to, and it will be locked in. You have 90 seconds to name 10 Football League clubs that begin